Chapter 461. Is the situation really that serious? Gu Chensha looked at the life's wish sphere. Every strand of vital energy and every inch of space within it was the result of his blood, sweat, and tears. It was unknown how many fortuitous encounters he had gone through to create it. However, from the beginning to the end, the life's wish sphere had not encountered any tribulations. A treasure that had not encountered tribulations was not a true treasure. Only after encountering many tribulations and being reborn would it be able to obtain extraordinary achievements. It was the same for humans. For example, martial emperors and Xing Qiongshi. Now that these two great existences had been resurrected, even the three great celestial venerables would probably be in trouble in the future. However, tribulations were very dangerous. Basically, if they were not careful, their bodies and souls would be destroyed, and they would never be able to recover. Gu Chensha had cultivated the heavenly Tao's magic quality. This was something that had never happened since ancient times. In a sense, he no longer had his own fate, and it would be very difficult for tribulations to bestow upon him. Moreover, as long as he hid, no one would be able to divine him. It was as if he no longer existed and was not part of the calculations of the heavenly secrets. This was different from those anomalies. Anomalies were not part of the heavenly Tao system, but they were the ones that the heavenly Tao paid attention to. Which dynasty or generation's rebels would not be noticed by the imperial court. If the entire tranquil immortal department encountered a tribulation, then only Gu Chensha would be spared. This was the result that Zhuge Ye came up with after repeated deductions. The situation is indeed serious. The upper echelons of the demon race, many demon god-level experts, and demon saints have all taken notice of us. It seems like we've already been noticed by the demonic origin power. It's also because we've been showing off our abilities and have become the vanguard of humanity's strengthening. This is especially so with the dissemination of the dragon nurturing mental art and dragon creation mental art. In fact, this matter has already destroyed the balance between spirituality and demonic nature. As this mental art spreads, more and more people's aptitudes will increase, and even spirituality will reach a pinnacle. In other words, our tranquil immortal department is no longer tolerated by the heavenly Tao. Lu Baiwei appeared in the sphere. So what? Gu Chensha said. Don't tell me we don't have to do these things? Of course we have to do it, and we have to face it head-on. Lu Baiwei replied. We are the true rulers of fate, humans are the true controllers of the heavens Tao, otherwise, how could we be called the wisest of all living beings? That's a must. Father's wish should also be to break the principle that prosperity is bound to decline. Once humans reach the peak of their strength, their spirituality will explode, and there will be a disaster. This is the confrontation between the spirit and the devil, and also the principle of the balance of yin and yang. What we need to do is to break the balance between yin and yang, so that humans can prosper forever and control the world. The Buddha of ancient times had done this as well. His philosophy was that everyone could become a Buddha and reach the supreme great nirvana realm. This is also the same thing that we do, but in the end, the Buddha did not complete this task and disappeared. In fact, Martial Emperor Wu also wanted to do this back then, but he himself suffered a calamity. Zhuge Ye made a detailed analysis. This time, Your Highness killed those demons, but the demonic nature will not disappear because of this. I'm afraid that in a few days, in the distant mountains and forests, there will even be a passage from the demon domain, and a large number of demons will appear here. Very good. When Gu Chensha heard this, he laughed. It just so happens that the heavenly demon tree lacks souls and blood essence to nourish its body. The appearance of demons is also a good thing. We can already condense the human dragon pill. After taking it, humans will not be afraid of demonic energy. Without the erosion of demonic energy, it will be much easier to deal with demons. We need to put in a lot of effort to create a three-piece set. Lu Baiwei said, This is also an opportunity for our calming Xian department. The more demons there are, the more our heavenly demon tree can absorb, and the more human dragon pills, human dragon armors, and human dragon swords we can create. After this three-piece set was equipped, even an ordinary person's combat strength would skyrocket, and they would not be afraid of ordinary demons. In a battle between armies, the army could easily destroy everything. However, what the people of the Tranquil Immortal Department were worried about were the high-level experts, the demon god and the demon saint. Since ancient times, the true victory and defeat had always been decided after the high-level experts were revealed. Of course, it was not that the large number of ordinary people was unimportant, because they were soil and reserves. The more people there were, the higher the probability of experts being born. An expert in a small country with a population of 10 million might have a genius who could defeat a country with a population of over 100 million. But if it was a super country with a population of 1 billion or even billions or even tens of billions, with such a huge population base, there would be thousands of geniuses emerging, and they could crush a small country. Everything Gu Chunsha and the calming Xian department did was to increase their combat strength, and then let the population completely explode. In their vision, in the next 60 years, the population would increase tenfold, or even tenfold. Thinking about it, with the current population base, humans had already given birth to those sage clans, god clans, and many experts. If the population increased tenfold, or even tenfold, wouldn't there be many sages born like in ancient times? There were only a few basic national policies of the calming Xian department: exterminating demons, strengthening the country, righteous ideals, and spreading great wishes. With these as the foundation, they would continue to do it. No matter what the tribulation was, they would move forward with indomitable will. I'll first cultivate to the 22 transformations of heaven and earth, and then extrapolate the art of transformation to its limits. Gu Chunsha discussed the matter of the tribulation with Zhuge Ye and Liu Baiwei. If the devil race really opened the passageway to their fiefdom and then unleashed something called the multitude devil heart prison thunder tribulation, what should they do? Zhuge Ye's conclusion was that if the devil race gathered billions of devils, and the multitude devil heart prison thunder tribulation that had been brewing for so long would erupt, even the sphere of the common peoples would not be able to withstand it. At that time, the calming Xian department would suffer the tribulation. But now, the calming Xian department couldn't hide or retreat. They had to stand at the forefront of the imperial court. At present, the safest method was for Gu Chunsha to cultivate to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth and cultivate the art of transformation to an extremely profound level. That way, he would be able to perform all sorts of tricks under the eyes of demonic gods and even demonic sages. As Gu Chunsha's cultivation level increased, the quality of the Heaven Dao technique would truly reveal its various prowess. As for Zhuge Ye, he sped up his preparations to obtain the world-burying coffin. Furthermore, he would use Do 19 again to quickly obtain the Azure Dragon and White Tiger eggs. By strengthening the power of the sphere of the common people's will, he would be more confident in dealing with the devil's attacks. The tribulation of the devil calamity was more than 100 times greater than the one he had faced when he became the Lord of 7 Star. This was a clash between the forces of darkness and light, yin and yang. Even the 3 great celestial sovereigns wouldn't dare stand at the forefront of such a conflict. Generally speaking, the 3 great celestial sovereigns would hide in the back during a major tribulation. When the conflict was almost over, they would come out to clean up the mess, assess the situation, and reap the rewards. The final victors would always be the 3 great celestial sovereigns. Gu Chunsha also knew that this time, it was very likely that the 3 great celestial sovereigns would bide their time and quietly observe the situation. To the Celestial Calmness Department, this was actually a good thing. Without the 3 great celestial sovereigns standing in their way, the Celestial Calmness Department would be able to secure a juicy piece of meat. The presence of devils was perhaps the greatest calamity for the Celestial Calmness Department. However, from another perspective, the devils Gu Chunxia saw were nothing more than medicinal pills, suits of armor, sharp swords, and all sorts of other treasures. 5 elements revolve, extreme Tao transformations. Gu Chunxia continued cultivating within the sphere of common people's wish. At times, his entire body of magic power would turn into a sea of fire. At other times, it would turn into an ocean. After that, it would turn into a continent, a huge tree, and a gigantic mountain of gold. This transformation continued for another month. His body's magic power turned into a continent, and on the continent grew a huge tree. Beside the tree was an ocean, and above the ocean was a huge ball of fire. In the middle of the ocean was a huge mountain shining with golden light, illuminated by the ball of fire for tens of thousands of miles. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. The 5 elements were all there, growing and multiplying without end. They revolved and resonated with each other, and Gu Chunxia used the heavenly Tao to perfectly revolve them. When the 5 elements' body transformations evolved to the extreme, one could combine the 5 elements to give birth to all things, reaching the realm of the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Gu Chunxia was very familiar with this realm. He was even familiar with the highest transformation, the river of all things. Breaking through to this realm was not difficult at all. All he needed was time. Another month passed. Do 19's true body was imprisoned within. He suddenly moved. I've already brought the azure dragon egg and the white tiger egg. The 3-month deadline is also up. Zhuge Ye, you should let me go now. Our agreement should still be in effect. Of course. Zhuge Ye nodded. Our calming immortal agency is the most trustworthy. Since you've brought the azure dragon egg and the white tiger egg, we won't make things difficult for you. Actually, with your strength, one more won't affect the overall situation, and one less won't be of much help to our calming immortal agency. If we kill you, we'll suffer great losses. We might as well cooperate with you. We can increase our strength together, and your position in the system of the 3 great heavenly venerables will rise. As he spoke, Zhuge Ye had already sensed Do 19's clone. He opened up the space within the sphere of the life's wish and collected the clone. The clone wrapped around the 2 eggs. One was green and the other was silvery white. Memory read. Zhuge Ye immediately used some secret arts to read the clone's memories. He then activated the secret arts to augment Do 19's true body. He had already obtained all the information on how Do 19 had obtained the 2 eggs. After that, he ran through the memories repeatedly. When he found no flaws, he nodded. Looks like you didn't play any tricks. Why would I? Do 19 said. I also need the bloodline of these 4 sacred beasts after they hatch. Chapter 462. Do 19 was indeed influential. He was the son of one of the 3 heavenly venerables, Do 19. Although he was hated by everyone in the Mystic Gate, no one dared to offend him. The white tiger egg was something that the 3 heavenly venerables possessed, so it was easy for him to obtain it. The azure dragon egg was in the black heaven-earth gate. After he went up, he used another white tiger egg to exchange for the azure dragon egg. The 3 heavenly venerables had more than one white tiger egg. It was extremely difficult to hatch the eggs of the 4 sacred beasts. This was also the law of the world. If it was easy to hatch, such a powerful existence would break the balance of the world. The 4 sacred beasts were so few and almost extinct because of the difficulty of hatching them. Since ancient times, only the Son of Heaven's sun-moon dragon blood could hatch them. Therefore, there was an ancient rumor that when the Son of Heaven went on patrol, the 4 spirits would accompany him. Gu Chunxia had the sun-moon dragon blood, so he had hatched the black tortoise and the vermilion bird. However, his current heavenly law was of a higher grade than the sun-moon dragon blood. The sun-moon dragon blood was the Son of Heaven's blood, while the heavenly law's quality was the heavenly lord's magic power. Gu Chunsha stopped using the 5 element. He looked at the 2 eggs and carefully sized them up. Then, he slowly injected his magic power into them. As he did so, crack, crack, the 2 eggs immediately began to split open, giving birth to a little azure dragon and a little white tiger. There's indeed a will hidden inside. The moment the 2 sacred beasts were born, Gu Chunsha discovered an extremely obscure and mysterious will lurking inside. If not for his heavenly law's quality, he would not have discovered it at all. Zhuge Ye suddenly pointed upwards. A golden light shone down, dispersing the obscure will completely. That golden token was the "like I am here," bestowed by the heavenly talisman emperor. This has nothing to do with me. Do 19 immediately expressed his stance. It should be the Black Heaven Earthgates sect master's doing. This old thing has been doing this for a long time. Back then, he was the one hiding in the Azure Dragon Divine Wood, but he went out for wool and came home shorn. Gu Chunsha laughed and injected his magic power again. Immediately, a white tiger the size of a fist and an azure dragon the size of a small water snake flew up and circled around his body. Go gather the 4 beasts. Gu Chunsha gathered white tiger, little azure dragon, vermilion bird, and black tortoise into the heavenly demon tree to build a nest. The entire heavenly demon tree, which had gathered the 4 images, suddenly shook as if it was filled with another kind of vitality. The 4 symbols actually resonated with the stars in the sky. The 28 Fey gods were equivalent to the azure dragon's 7 mansions, the black tortoise's 7 mansions, the vermilion bird's 7 mansions, and the white tiger's 7 mansions. Now that the 4 symbols were gathered together, from a certain perspective, they had formed a complete ecology of the heavenly demon tree. Rumble! With the 4 symbols gathered, the heavenly demon tree once again glowed with vitality. Countless bursts of vitality violently erupted, and layers of dazzling light rippled between heaven and earth. Gu Chensha's body twisted and turned into a 5-colored divine light that directly entered the heavenly demon tree, swimming among the tree's roots and leaves. After making a full circle, he came out of the heavenly demon tree and transformed back into himself. Meanwhile, the quality and realm of his heavenly path technique had been upgraded. Unity of man and tree. The man is the tree and the tree is the man. Gu Chunsha understood the transformation of the unity of man and tree. The heavenly demon tree itself was refined by him. In the beginning, it was the seed of the blood-sucking magic vine. In the bottomless sea of Sin Grassland, it killed countless evil spirits. Later, it absorbed the primordial spiritual treasure and finally became what it was now. This tree could be said to be his avatar. Or rather, his other true body. It was just that he couldn't completely understand the secret of the tree's true body yet. Fortunately, after making a circle in the tree, he became more and more familiar with the circulation of his dermic powers. Coupled with the gathering of the 4 symbol sacred beasts, he broke through his 5 elements' extreme transformation and cultivated to the 22 changes of the Tao realm, the law phenomenon of heaven and earth. In just 3 months, Gu Chunsha crossed 2 major transformations from the 20 changes of the Tao realm. First, he transformed into the 5 elements, and then he reached the law phenomenon of heaven and earth. Once the law phenomenon of heaven and earth was completed, his dermic powers could really evolve into anything in the world and never regress. However, the following 23 changes, past reflection, was not so easy to comprehend. Even Zhuge Ye and Fa Wuxian were stuck in this realm for some time. This was also an important juncture to comprehend the secret of time. Gu Chunsha had long known that with his own accumulation, as long as he cultivated dermic powers, he could continuously break through realms. It wouldn't be a problem to cultivate the 22 changes, law phenomenon of heaven and earth. However, the 23 changes, past reflection, had to be accumulated and comprehended again. It was extremely difficult. Of course, no matter how difficult it was It wouldn't be more difficult than when he comprehended from the 19 changes to the 20 changes. This change was when he directly cultivated the quality of the heavenly path technique. Since ancient times, no one had been able to comprehend this quality. Congratulations, King, you have finally cultivated to the law phenomenon of heaven and earth realm. You have broken through 2 stages. Zhuge Ye's expression was filled with joy. With your current strength, no one below the 27 transformations is a match for you. Even if it's an expert who has cultivated the true dragon technique to the 260,000 techniques returned to 1, only then would they be able to escape from you. The rest won't even be able to take 1 strike. To be able to cultivate the true dragon technique, unless one had a fortuitous encounter like Wu Dankong, one had to be a natural saint. For example, Fa Wuxian. Based on what Zhuge Ye said, even if Fa Wuxian cultivated the 26 changes, 10,000 techniques returned to 1 and reached the peak, he could only escape from Gu Chensha. It would be extremely difficult for him to defeat Gu Chensha. Now, when Fa Wuxian fought Jingqiu, he was also at the 22 changes, law phenomenon of heaven and earth. He wasn't even able to use the river of all beings. Even after that battle, he had pondered over the painful experience and comprehended the profundities of it. His current realm was only at the 23rd transformation, past reflection. The difference in combat strength between him and Gu Chensha was simply too great. The main reason was the difference between the true dragon technique and the heaven path technique. For example, if 2 swordsmen were to compete in swordsmanship, one would use an ordinary wooden sword, while the other would use the 9 heavens godly sword that the ancient Son of Heaven had obtained by killing 9,000 demon kings and sacrificing them to the heavenly Tao. How could they compete? Although the true dragon technique and heaven path technique were just 1 stage apart, the gap was just that huge. Even before Gu Chensha cultivated the heaven path technique, Fa Wuxian wouldn't be his match at the same realm, much less now. Is this the Tao realm 22 changes, law phenomenon of heaven and earth? Gu Chensha's body moved slightly, and his powers turned into the surging river of all beings. The mountains and rivers, the commoners, the kings, the generals, and everything else were all within. The river of all beings formed a surging torrent that could refine everything, change everything, and evolve everything. Back then, when Wu Dankong comprehended the river of all beings, he had actually trapped Gu Chensha for a full month. Now, the river of all beings that Gu Chensha had transformed into was many times stronger than Wu Dankong's. Do 19 was shocked to find that the river of all beings that Gu Chensha had transformed into seemed to be able to evolve all beings and create a brand new world. He knew how amazing Gu Chensha was, and he also knew that Gu Chensha had broken through unprecedented restrictions and cultivated the heaven path technique. Even with his pride, he knew that he couldn't offend this fellow. You should be able to let me off now, right? Seeing the 4 saint beasts hatch, Do 19 said anxiously. Of course, our calming Xian department will not go back on our words. Gu Chensha was the first to express his opinion. Of course, we have signed a series of cooperation agreements, and each of us has our own benefit. Our tranquil immortal department has taken advantage of you by obtaining the azure dragon and white tiger eggs from you. Of course, if you lose, it will be our spoils of war. After all, the 3 celestial venerables are our mortal enemies. Of course, we will not go back on our word. We will give you the bloodlines of the North Star Beast, the Vermilion Bird, the Black Tortoise, the Azure Dragon, and the White Tiger. Then, I will use my Heaven Path technique to refine them in your body, allowing you to step into the 26 transformations, all in one level. However, although we have the 4 saint beasts and can give you the pure bloodlines, we can't do anything about the North Star Beast's bloodline. We obtained a bit of the North Star Beast's bloodline from Jingqiu, but after absorbing it, the bloodline became extremely diluted. We can't extract it at all. That's why we still need the North Star Beast's bloodline. The North Star Beast isn't oviparous. It's different from the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. Do 19 frowned. There has only been one North Star Beast since ancient times, and it is the manifestation of the laws of the earth. The North Star Beast has no descendant. Unless we find the North Star Beast's main body and obtain its bloodline, we will be able to combine the 5 elements into one again. Of course. That will depend on your mystique. Gu Qinsha said, "How about this? I will let you go now, but you have to leave a life mark on the heavenly demon tree. How about that? You think of a way to obtain the North Star Beast's bloodline, and I will refine it for you. In the future, we will work together for mutual benefit." That's fine too. Do 19 agreed cleanly. Leaving his life mark was tantamount to handing over the key to the celestial venerables. However, it was still better than the current situation. He was eager to escape, so he didn't care. As he spoke, he gathered his birth date and his life mark, forming a talisman that he hung on the heavenly demon tree. "Alright, you can go now." Gu Qinsha opened the life's wish sphere and sent Do 19 out. As expected, he didn't kill him. This kid left this life mark, so we can control his every move. However, as the son of the 3 celestial venerables, he naturally has a way to sever his life mark. As long as he seeks help from the sex god rank experts or sages, I'm afraid it will be impossible for us to completely control him. Zhuge was clear. Chapter 463. Do 19 used the transformation fruit's ability to mess up the celestial Dao sect. Even God realm experts had to calculate carefully to find out. And now that Gu Qinsha had cultivated the heavenly Dao arts quality, he had taken another step forward. He had raised his cultivation level from 20 transformations, assemble and disperse impermanence, to 22 transformations, heaven and earth. He had raised his transformations to the extreme, and he was many times stronger than Do 19's transformation fruit. Most importantly, Empyreans would not be able to calculate the whereabouts of any powerful cultivators, saints, or even divergents. If he pretended to be Do 19, along with all of his memories, he would be able to pass off the fake as the real one. If his cultivation reached 25 transformations, even his father, victorious fighting celestial, wouldn't be able to recognize him. Currently, the strongest transformation ability was the 1000 Transformations Stone Ape. It was born with a transformation bloodline and was even stronger than the transformation fruit. However, the transformation ability of the 1000 Transformations Stone Ape, compared to Gu Qinsha, was like heaven and earth. After cultivating the 22 transformations of heaven and earth, all of Gu Qinsha's savings were used up. If he wanted to try for the 23 transformations of past reflection, he needed to go to the common people to comprehend the changes of time. He had to accumulate more comprehension before he could break through to this stage. This was a huge bottleneck. Since ancient times, many celestials were stuck at this stage. They forcefully tried to deduce, and many of them ended up going mad. The 23 transformations, past reflection, used one's spiritual power and wisdom to comprehend the secrets of light and the river of time. If one was not careful, one's consciousness would get lost in the river of time and collapse. It was often recorded in the immortal Tao that a cultivator of the 22 transformations, lawful manifestations of heaven and earth, would go into seclusion in order to comprehend the 23 transformations, past reflection. However, in the process of seclusion, their spiritual consciousness would be completely lost, and their magic power would dissipate, turning into green smoke that melted into the world. Gu Qinsha was afraid of this too. He had cultivated the quality of the heavenly Tao. Although his magic power was unprecedentedly powerful, because the quality of the heavenly Tao was extremely close to the heavenly Tao, he had to use his own powerful spirit and willpower to control it. If he did not control it well, He would be like a sage who had fused with the Tao and become one with the world. The world was extremely attractive to him. Every time he cultivated, he had to be very careful and use his strongest will to resist the assimilation of the heavenly Tao. It was extremely dangerous to cultivate to the sage realm. Every time a sage used their spiritual power, they would be summoned by the laws of the heavenly Tao. For example, Zhuge Ye had taken advantage of the critical moment when the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor was resisting the assimilation of the heavenly Tao to bring Wu Dangkong to the evil spirit continent and absorb the Emperor's qi in the Black-Yellow Pagoda. As for the quality of Gu Chensha's heavenly Tao technique, as his cultivation level increased, the heavenly Tao's ability to assimilate him became stronger and stronger. Of course, this was also a great training for his spirit and willpower. It would also be of great help to him in comprehending the path of divergence. If he comprehended the path of divergence one day, he would be able to sever the heavenly Tao's assimilation of him. At that time, his cultivation would truly be unimaginable, and his potential might even surpass that of the three great heavenly venerables. However, comprehending the path of divergence was extremely difficult. Gu Chensha pondered. Even if it was Jing Qiu who wanted to comprehend it, he only had a 1 in 10,000 chance. As for Jing Fanxing, it was basically impossible. Jing Fanxing had been created by Do 19 and had recovered some of his strength. This was actually not a good thing for him. For such a small character, Gu Chensha did not even have the desire to deal with him. "What do you plan to do now, Your Highness?" asked Zhuge Ye. "The demon disaster is about to break out and the world is in turmoil. Even the demon race can unite, but we humans are still divided." Gu Chensha sighed. After all this time, it seems that the calming immortal department is the one who is truly thinking about the world. Father is not here, and even the heavenly craftsman department is slacking off. Right now, I have to go to the major families and force them to express their stance. They want to form an alliance against the demon race, with the calming immortal department as the leader. We will take the initiative to attack from the bottomless sea of sin. If the major families can work together and use all of their trump cards, we can destroy the demon race's nether iron fortresses in one strike. That's impossible. Lu Baiwe shook her head. These aristocratic families are just waiting for the demon disaster to break out so that they can fish in troubled waters and reap enough benefit. How could they let our calming immortal department be the leader and waste their savings to defeat the demon race? They can't wait for the demon race to destroy our calming immortal department in one fell swoop and then come out to divide our treasures. The calming immortal department had already become a huge piece of fat meat. Just the common people's wish sphere and the heavenly demon tree were already coveted by many powers. That may be the case, but we are still the unified imperial court. On the surface, the major families are still subservient to the imperial court. Our calming immortal department can also supervise the major families. Now that the demon disaster is brewing and is about to break out, our calming immortal department doesn't care about the attitudes of the major families. On the surface, we still need to notify them and form an alliance. If the major families refuse, our calming immortal department can spread the news to the world and create public opinion, making the major families the target of public criticism. Gu Chensha had his own plans. Moreover, ever since we established our calming immortal department, we have never formally paid a visit to the major families. We still have to pay them a visit out of courtesy. As for their attitude, we'll see. After I visit the major families in the name of our calming immortal department, I'll disguise myself as Wudong Xing and pay them a visit again. Even if the major families don't defend against the demon disaster, we still have to guard against them stabbing us in the back. We need to know ourselves and our enemies. It's good to use diplomacy before force. Our calming immortal department is tolerant. Zhuge Ye's expression turned sharp. If the major families refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then there's no need for us to be polite with them. If we really want to use the demon disaster to throw the universe into chaos and rob them while they're down, then we need to first settle our internal affairs. As long as the imperial court and humanity work together, there's actually no need to fear the demon disaster. Humanity's foundations are extremely deep. Even the major sects of the immortal Tao are mostly formed by humans. Gradually, they've become immortal cultivators. Liu Baiwei said, "The greatest hidden danger of every demon disaster is humans killing each other. Some of the major families even reach an agreement with the demon race in order to protect themselves. We can't allow that to happen this time. That's only natural. The major sects of the immortal Tao are the same. However, they're not above the central divine continent. Unlike the major families, the disciples of the major families directly participate in the imperial court's politics. A large portion of them are still local officials. For example, in the Wu province, at least half of the officials are disciples of the Wu clan. Apart from that, there's another 30% who are more or less connected to the Wu clan. If the world is in turmoil and the imperial court's authority is slightly weakened, then whatever orders the Wu clan gives, these officials will immediately abandon the imperial court, and the entire Wu province will become the Wu kingdom. Zhuge Ye said, after all, His Majesty has only unified the world for 24 years and hasn't taken root yet. To eliminate the influence of the major families, the only way is for His Majesty to personally rule for 100 years. It's a pity that His Majesty has gone into seclusion and left Wu Dangkong in the upper study to oversee the country, causing the power of the major families to rise again. After all, our Celestial Tranquility Department's foundations are shallow, so it's difficult for us to overthrow them. If Mr. Zhuge had become a god, then Baiwei the Fourth and I would have been able to do the same. It wouldn't have been difficult for us to suppress the major families. Unfortunately, the demon disaster is about to break out. Gu Qinsha suddenly asked, "That's right, about the interstellar burial coffin, the peerless heavenly tome, and the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. How are we going to collect them all into the sphere?" Back then, Zhuge Ye and Gu Qinsha had come up with a plan to first have Jin Suebua capture the peerless heavenly tome, then obtain the interstellar burial coffin and the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. But now, these plans had not been completed. However, they had obtained the central Wutu Great Virtue flag and the myriad demon-human transformation painting. Both of these treasures had been melted into the heavenly demon tree, and they had even obtained the Tianyi Pearl as a supplement. This huge achievement was not inferior to obtaining the peerless heavenly tome and the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. I have to go through a lot of preparations to obtain the interstellar burial coffin. It's not something that can be done in a day. Since Your Highness has already cultivated the heavenly law, we can advance our plan. As for the peerless heavenly tome, Suebua has already grasped its trajectory. These days, we have been laying down traps to lure the book out. Once the book appears, it will be the best time for us to go all out. Zhuge Ye said, "I have been carrying out the plan step by step. I have also deduced the whereabouts of the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. So that's how it is. Let's capture the peerless heavenly tome first." Unfortunately, the jade mountain that sealed Xing Qiongshi has disappeared from the bottom of the sea. If it were still there, I could refine it completely and fuse it into our sphere. That way, the sphere's sturdiness would probably increase by a few realms, Gu Qinsha said. Xing Qiongshi is indeed powerful. I have still underestimated him, Zhuge Ye said with a solemn expression. Wu Dangkong has probably reached some kind of agreement with him behind the scenes. In that case, I will first pay a visit to the School of Legalism. I will pay a visit to the entire aristocratic family first. Gu Qinsha said, "I will immediately sense the whereabouts of the peerless heavenly tome. After that, I will return to capture him." "That is the only way." Zhuge Ye said, "Go ahead, Your Highness." Princess Ufu and the other core members of the Calming Immortal Bureau should focus on running the College of the People's Wish. The College of the People's Wish is another place where the devil calamity will erupt. We must guard it. Lu Baiwen knew the importance of this. She couldn't go to the demon domain to fight at the moment, so she could only coordinate everything and command the general of the People's Wish. She had to groom the talents of the college and move the world. After making all the arrangements, Gu Chunsha once again flew out of the sphere of the People's Wish and headed to the Dharma province. He had been cultivating in the sphere for more than 3 months. It was already spring in the 24th year of the heavenly talisman. The world was filled with grass and birds. Spring was warm and all living things were sprouting. The weather in the wildlands had also become hot and humid. Chapter 464. The School of Legalism was definitely the #1 aristocratic family. The Dharma saint was the founder of the human Tao order. Among the 7 ancient human sages, his power surpassed even the martial sage. He had created the omniscient Dharma realm for the School of Legalism. Rumor had it that the Dharma saint had gathered many connate treasures from the primordial tree and fused them into one to forge the unified Dharma ring. It was also rumored that the Dharma saint had spent his entire life pursuing the quality of the heavenly Tao. Rumor had it that the quality of his magic power surpassed that of the ancient sons of heaven and was the closest to the quality of the heavenly Tao. He had already reached the quality of the 9 true dragon Dharma. In ancient times, the Dharma saint had divided the quality of the true dragon Dharma into 9 levels. Ordinary innate saints, ancient heavenly sons of heaven, could only cultivate the true dragon art to the 5th level, the so-called 9-5 sovereign. Only an extremely small number of sages and sons of heaven could break through the miracle and reach the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th levels. That was because cultivating the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma was already the limit. If one forcefully cultivated it further, they would be competing with the heavenly Tao. As the saying went, the dragon soared in the sky and truly stood at the pinnacle. If one wanted to take another step forward, they would have to repent. For example, the quality of Fa Wuxian's magic power could only reach the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma at most. It was the same for Wu Dankong. As for Zhuge, it seemed that his magic power could break through the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma and reach an even higher level in the future. However, there was a drawback. Rumor had it that the Lord of 7 Stars had only come in response to a tribulation. Once the tribulation was over, he would return to his roots. Gu Chencha's Marshal of the People's Dharma was also at the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma. Only he himself, with the help of the heavenly talisman Emperor's bloodline and countless fortuitous encounters, had cultivated the rarely seen quality of the heavenly Tao since ancient times. He had achieved unprecedented accomplishment. However, it was precisely because of this that many of the ancient experiences were no longer suitable for him. He had to figure them out on his own. He also knew that in the future, as he cultivated the true dragon Dharma, problems that only sages would face as his cultivation level increased. One had to become one with the heavenly Tao, and the power of the heavenly Tao would grow stronger and stronger until they completely fused. This was the reason why he had come to the School of Legalism. There was a secret rumor that said that the Dharma saint was different from many other saints. He did not truly fuse with the heavenly Tao. Instead, he stayed behind and hid, secretly protecting the School of Legalism. The ancient 7 saints were the saint of literature, the saint of martial, the saint of war, the saint of engineering, the saint of agriculture, the Dharma saint, and the saint of Brahma. Among them, the Dharma saint established order and rules, and his strength was the highest among the saints. The information that Gu Chunsha obtained was that the Dharma saint had been researching the true dragon technique and the heavenly path technique. At the same time, he was also studying the profoundness of the heavenly Tao technique. If Gu Chunsha could obtain these things from the legalists, it would be extremely beneficial to his cultivation. Although he had mastered the quality of the heavenly Tao and had a certain understanding of this technique, his research might not be as profound as that of the Dharma saint. I must obtain the results of the Dharma saint's research and his understanding of magic power. Only by analyzing it layer by layer can I perfect my calculations of magic power. The Dharma saint's research and understanding of magic power is far beyond what I can compare with. As Gu Chernsha thought to himself, he had already arrived at the Dharma province. The Dharma province was extremely large. It had 108 provinces, which had been personally divided by the ancient Dharma saint. The Dharma province was vast and fertile. Since ancient times, it had been governed by laws. Even during the most chaotic Dark Age, when the world was in chaos, the people of this land were safe and sound because of the protection of the legalists. The people had lived according to the laws of the legalists for thousands of years. From a certain point of view, the legalists' protection of a province was a great merit. At the same time, the Dharma province was the most populous and largest province in the Yonko. 10 years ago, the population of the Dharma province had already reached a few hundred million. But now, it should have exceeded 1 billion. Because of this, the heavenly talisman Emperor's Empress was also a woman from the legalist school. When Gu Chernsha stepped into the Dharma province, he only felt that there was order everywhere. When the people lived, they all had their own rules. Because of this, the efficiency was extremely high. The officials also paid attention to the laws and were meticulous. Looking at the chi flow of the entire Dharma province, it was actually clear and bright. The Dharma province was also the safest. Even in the past, bandits and heroes of the pugilistic world wouldn't dare to cause trouble in the Dharma province. The scenery in the cities of the Dharma province was beautiful. However, the layout was solemn and awe-inspiring. As Gu Chernsha toured around, he inwardly nodded. It wasn't without reason that the legalists were so powerful. If the rumors are true, and the Dharma saint actually succeeded in resisting the summons of the heavenly Daos and didn't attempt the Tao merge, then that's terrifying. But it's also possible. For example, the ancient Lord of the Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang, didn't return to the Seven Stars after his death. Instead, he stored himself in the world-burying coffin. Gu Chernsha walked around the city of the Dharma province before arriving at the governor's mansion. The governor of the Dharma province was called Wen Hanlong. He wasn't someone from the legalist school. This was a rule of the imperial court. Every province with a 1,000-year-old aristocratic family couldn't have a governor who was a descendant of the local aristocratic family. Otherwise, if they colluded, the imperial court's decrees would basically be impossible to carry out. Wen Hanlong was an official personally appointed by the heavenly talisman emperor. He was also a descendant of an aristocratic family and a descendant of the sage of literature. The sage of literature revered etiquette, while the Dharma saint revered laws. The two complemented each other, but they also clashed. In other words, the sage of literature valued human relations, while the Dharma saint valued rules. The so-called laws of reason. Wen Hanlong was a descendant of the Wen clan. Since he came to the Dharma prefecture to be the governor, the heavenly talisman emperor's intention was to combine the Wen clan's etiquette with the legalist school's laws. He wanted to see if he could create a more perfect form of order. At the same time, he wanted the Wen clan to restrain the legalist school, lest the legalist school became too dominant. Gu Chernsha was the department head of the imperial court's department of calming immortals and was also a king. He had a high status and authority. This time, when he came to the Dharma prefecture, according to the imperial court's rules, he had to meet the governor first. After that, the governor would inform the legalist school. Although Wen Hanlong was a descendant of the Wen clan, he was also a member of the imperial court. 10 years ago, the heavenly talisman emperor frequently summoned this person and nurtured him. It could be said that this person was indebted to him for recognizing his worth. The Department of Calming Immortals had also done some research in secret. They discovered that if the One Clan and the Imperial Court were to clash, this person would definitely protect the Imperial Court. He was also a loyal existence. Gu Chensha directly arrived at the governor's manor and immediately discovered Wen Hanlong's aura. This person was only in his 30s and had the appearance of a youth. He could be said to be a young hero. At the age of 18, he was nurtured by the heavenly talisman Emperor. At this moment, Wen Hanlong was sitting on the upper floor of the governor's manor. He had a cup of green tea and an ancient book. He was looking at the clouds floating in the sky. It was very peaceful and carefree. Lord Hanlong is very comfortable. Gu Chensha appeared in the attic. When Wen Hanlong saw that it was Gu Chensha, he slowly put down the ancient book and bowed to the ground. "Greetings, Your Highness. From the looks of it, it seems that you already knew that I would come?" Gu Chensha was a little surprised. "It seems that Your Highness should come to the Dharma Prefecture." After Wen Hanlong bowed, he stood up and still had the air of a scholar. Right now, the seal of the invincible sea of sin is broken, and the demonic aura is boiling. I'm afraid that the great calamity recorded in the history books will break out again. Originally, this calamity should only break out in a few hundred years. However, because the world is developing too fast, in just a mere 24 years, it has already surpassed the development of a few hundred years. The human Tao is flourishing, and it has caused the demonic aura to boil. The Department of Calming Immortals is already standing on the front line of the calamity. Apart from accumulating strength, what Your Highness needs to do is to contact the various aristocratic families to fight the demon together. This is something that the dynasty has to do. It seems like you know the world like the back of your hand, as expected from a talent that father-like. The Dharma Prefecture is the top prefecture in the central divine continent. You have been the governor here for many years, so it is impossible for you not to have skill. I think that your cultivation is no lower than the 3 dukes and 8 marquises. Your future is limitless. Gu Chensha glanced at him and could see that Wen Hanlong's cultivation was really shocking. He had reached the 20th transformation of Tao realm, gathering and dispersing impermanence. He had also cultivated the Vajra technique. At such a realm, he was already the Grand Elder of the Xiantian celestial sect. He controlled a palace and had a high status. In the world, the governor-level people were usually at the 5th transformation of the Tao realm, the 100 apertures, or the 6th transformation of the Qi refining into astral energy. The best one was at the 7th transformation of the levitating sky and the 8th transformation of the Samadhi true fire. If they cultivated to the 9th transformation of the glass jade body, then they would be used differently. This was the explosion that happened in the last 5 to 6 years. The governor-level officials had really good benefit. Apart from large amounts of money, they also received pills and cultivation technique. During these years, the Calm Celestial Division had conquered thousands of second- and third-rate celestial sections. They received large amounts of taxes each year, and a portion of it was given to the treasury to pay the officials. It was obvious that Wen Hanlong's cultivation was so high not because of the government's salary or treatment, but because he had a fortuitous encounter. "Your Highness's eyes are really sharp," Wen Hanlong said. "Your Highness, in the battle in the demon domain, you directly defeated the joint forces of the 4 great experts of the Immortal Tao sect, and your fame has already spread far and wide. Now it seems like Your Highness' strength has increased by who knows how many times compared to before. How could my insignificant abilities enter Your Highness' eyes?" "Hanlong, there is no need to belittle yourself. With your cultivation, you can compare to the 3 dukes and 8 marquises." Gu Chensha waved his hands. "I came to visit the legalists. Do you think they will give me face? Last time, when Jing Fanxing tried to assassinate me, I went to Jingzhou to visit the Jing family, but they didn't give me any face at all." "Don't worry, Your Highness. The Jing family is plotting a rebellion. Moreover, you are like the sun in the sky. The calm celestial division wiped out the ape race and even made the 3 apes suffer. No matter how strong the legalists are, they will have to think twice. After all, the 1,000 transformation stone ape, yin-yang ghost ape, and diamond fighting ape are all God realm experts. When Hanlong seemed to know a lot of intel. Chapter 465. The Wen family still treats me as an outsider. After all, I have submitted to the imperial court and am greatly indebted to His Majesty. If His Majesty had not promoted me back then and bestowed me with the dragon creation chi, turning me into a peerless genius, how could I have achieved what I have today? When Hanlong said, "My cultivation today is all thanks to His Majesty," how could I have any ulterior motives? The Wen family is actually on the same side as the other aristocratic families and will definitely not assist the Calmness Immortal Department in resisting the Devil Calamity. Your Highness should be very clear about this. There's actually such a layer? Gu Qinsha only knew that when Hanlong was promoted by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, but he did not expect that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had actually obtained the Dragon Creation Chi, directly raising Wen Hanlong's aptitude to the pinnacle of peerless geniuses. It seemed that although the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had disappeared in seclusion and did not come out for a long time, he had hidden many chess pieces throughout the country. He definitely did not just let the Calmness Immortal Department take the lead. As the situation developed, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor would plant more and more chess pieces. The bloodline in Gu Chensha's body, the Death Exemption Talisman, Man Conquers Nature, and the Like I Am Here token all had unexpected effects. For example, the Death Exemption Talisman directly resisted the attacks of several saint-level experts, turning the Book of Heaven Demon, Buzhou Palace, Dragon Gate, and the 3 Heavenly Venerables will into the will of the People's Sphere. And the Man Conquers Nature painting distorted the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman, allowing him to share the sacrificial power equally with Wu Dankong. As for the Like I Am Here token, Lu Baiwei had gradually comprehended its power. In the future, her cultivation would probably increase to a terrifying level. And this Wen Hanlong was clearly a chess piece left behind by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. The moment this matter was said, Gu Qinsha knew that Wen Hanlong was completely trustworthy. Not only do the aristocratic families have their own ulterior motives, but they are also secretly resisting Father. Gu Qinsha sighed. If the aristocratic families could work together for the imperial court, why would we be afraid of the Devil Calamity? Countless emperors of the past dynasties have thought so as well. However, even the ancient Son of Heaven could not achieve the unity of all living beings. Not to mention the unity of all living beings, they could not even achieve the unity of the heavens and earth. When Hanlong was consoling Gu Qinsha, "Everyone has their own ambitions, you can't force them. Every aristocratic family has their own plans." Gu Qinsha's heart skipped a beat. There were 3 moves in the Son of Heaven's God-sealing art. Sun and moon shine together, heaven and earth share longevity, and all beings share one heart. He had already successfully cultivated the sun and moon shine together move, but he was still not familiar with the heaven and earth live together move. Furthermore, from ancient times until now, there had been many Son of Heaven who had cultivated the heaven and earth live together move, but not a single one had mastered it. If one succeeded, their lifespan would truly be comparable to that of the heavens and earth. However, not a single ancient emperor had lived to this day. As for the unity of all living beings, that was an ideal. All living beings in the world had different aspirations, so how could they possibly be of one mind? The Son of Heaven's God bestowment technique meant that even if one's power was comparable to the sun and moon, and one's lifespan was comparable to that of heaven and earth, it was impossible for one to have the hearts and minds of all living beings in the world. Hearing Wen Hanlong's words, Gu Qinsha nodded and said, Indeed, it would be strange if the aristocratic families could join hands to fight against the imperial court. No matter what, we should first use peaceful measures before resorting to force. I want to see what kind of attitude the experts have. Even if they don't join hands to fight against the imperial court, it's fine as long as they bide their time. What I'm afraid of is that when the time comes, they will stab us in the back. When the imperial court encounters an external threat, the aristocratic families will start to take control of the provinces where they are located. In an instant, the imperial court will fall apart. I can't rule out that possibility. Wen Hanlong nodded. Actually, that's what all the aristocratic families were planning to do. Recently, the Tranquil Immortal Department actually began to disseminate the Dragon Raising Heart Sutra and the Dragon Creation Heart Sutra. The impact on the aristocratic families was simply devastating. In the face of these two Heart Sutras, the aristocratic family's advantage was practically non-existent. It would be strange if the aristocratic families didn't make a move against the Tranquil Immortal Department. If this goes on, even if there are no demons, the aristocratic families definitely won't allow these two Heart Sutras to spread throughout the world. Otherwise, in a few decades, there will be no aristocratic families left. For the sake of us humans standing at the peak of the world, we have no choice but to do this. Gu Chensha laughed coldly. If we humans are unable to progress for the sake of the interests of these aristocratic families, then these aristocratic families will become obstacles to the development of the world and must be eradicated. That's my opinion too. When Hanlong said, "The school of legalism is extremely powerful, and their rule over the Dharma province is even more deep-rooted. I've been the governor here for many years, but I still haven't been able to do much. I can only barely maintain the situation. If the devil calamity breaks out, the school of legalism will probably be the first to imprison me, then take over the entire Dharma province and establish their own country. I'm planning that even if Prince doesn't come looking for me, I will go to the Tranquil Immortal Department to explain the situation." "Very good." Gu Chensha nodded. "Don't worry. With the Tranquil Immortal Department around, we definitely won't let such a thing happen. How is Fa Wuxian now? Also, rumors say that the Dharma Saint is still alive and hasn't merged with heaven and earth. You have been in Dharma province for so many years, have you heard any news?" "I am afraid that the rumors are true." When Hanlong's expression was really solemn and solemn. "Prince, based on all the signs, the Dharma Saint comprehended some sort of secret technique and is hiding in the depths of the chaotic space current. He is communicating with all the Dharma realms. All Dharma realms are really mysterious. When I fought Fa Wuxian and he used it on me, I knew that this change was to go against the summoning of the heavens." Gu Chensha frowned. Fa Wuxian was injured not long ago and returned to the school of legalism to cultivate. But it was said that he survived and his cultivation improved. He has reached the 23 Dao realm transformations and is at the crucial step of breaking through. When Hanlong said, "This person is lawless and I know that he has tried to deal with Prince many times. Prince must be careful of this person." "It is okay. To me, this person is like a chicken or dog. I can kill him with a flick of my finger." Gu Chensha wasn't bragging. Not to mention that he cultivated the Heaven Path technique. Even if he didn't, with his 22 transformations cultivation, he could kill Fa Wuxian's 23 transformations. Fa Wuxian's biggest advantage was his talent. He was a natural saint. Gu Chensha's talent was also that of a natural saint. Fa Wuxian had no advantage in front of him at all. "I will head to the school of legalism and tell them that Prince is here. Let's see how they react." When Hanlong cupped his fists and disappeared. This Wen Hanlong is a really strong talent. He is no weaker than the 3 dukes and 8 marquises. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been the governor of Dharma province for so long. It seems like we need to support him with pills, armor, and swords to increase his strength. Gu Chensha thought for a moment. The governors and inspector generals of the world are the backbone of the power. Our calming immortal department must rope them in and nurture them. Gu Chunsha had seen many governors like Xian Prefecture, Wu Prefecture, and Jing Prefecture. They were all loyal to the court, but they were a little weak. If all of them had golden core realm cultivation, then it would be perfect. How prosperous would the world be then? It is hard to change the situation within the Central Plains God Prefecture. However, the vast wilderness can absorb people, and then use general people's life as the governor to manage it. While managing, one can obtain the human Tao luck. Gu Chunsha sat down cross-legged in the governor's estate. Then he used a bit of his magic power to form an eye, which he sent up into the sky. It merged with the light of the sun, allowing him to observe everything that was happening in Dharma Province. The Dharma Province covered an area of 500,000 kilometers in circumference, and was rich in terrain. There were plains, mountain ranges, hills, and enormous lakes and rivers. There were even snowy mountains, deserts, and primeval forests. However, the layout of the Dharma Province, whether it was the mountains or the rivers, had been transformed by the ancient Dharma saint. The spiritual energy in the Dharma Province had gradually converged into an enormous vein of the Dharma Dragon. The head of the Dharma Dragon vein was where the School of Legalism was located. The School of Legalism's clan palace was built on top of the dragon's head, in a location with excellent feng shui. This mountain was different from the Wu clan's mountain. The Wu clan's mountain had flowing springs and waterfalls, trees, birds, and all sorts of animals. It was filled with life. The School of Legalism's mountain was forged from a type of black iron. It was hundreds of kilometers in circumference, and was not formed naturally. Someone had used immense magic power to forge the Iron Mountain, which was also inscribed with countless laws. An aura of imperial law emanated from it. The law was the law, and the rules were the rules. There were no human emotions to speak of. This was the style of the School of Legalism. They were impartial and impartial. They measured with an iron ruler and judged everything with an iron pen. Many palaces had been built at the foot of the Iron Mountain, which had a circumference of hundreds of kilometers and a height of thousands of kilometers. Gu Chunsha knew that the Iron Mountain was not actually black iron, but the imperial law jade iron refined by the Dharma saint. For thousands of years, it had absorbed the Dharma Province's dragon vein and human path providence. It had suppressed the Dharma Province's dragon vein and provided a lot of power to the School of Legalism's Dharma realm. Furthermore, in the past 20 years or so, due to the development of the imperial court, the entire Dharma Province's population had increased rapidly. The human path providence had also increased greatly. As a result, the School of Legalism's strength had actually increased. The School of Legalism has actually suppressed the dragon veins of the earth. It's no wonder that a natural-born saint like Fa Wuxian was born. As Gu Chunsha observed, he discovered quite a number of ingenious aspects of the School of Legalism. After waiting for a day, clouds suddenly appeared in the sky. When Hanlong and a person came to the governor manor. This person was an old man who was dressed in white. His cultivation was really high and his body was covered in spiritual power. He spun around and was one with everything in the world. He was actually at the Tao Realm 22 transformation phenomenon. Moreover, this old man was actually of the Vajra technique grade. I am the School of Legalism's Grand Elder, Fa Lufeng. I heard that king is here, so I rushed over to welcome you. The old man cupped his hands. He was quite polite and didn't give him face like the Jing family. Chapter 466. Fa Lufeng was also looking at Gu Chunsha. Naturally, he had a secret technique to observe his cultivation. But when he used it to check on Gu Chunsha, he only felt that Gu Chunsha was filled with heavenly might. He was high up and looked down on all living beings. He couldn't see through his cultivation at all. When he tried to probe deeper, he felt an instinctive fear. He couldn't even control his magic power. In front of Gu Chensha, he felt like an ant looking at the sky. How is this possible? Fa Lufeng couldn't help but feel terrified. Even when I was worshipping the Dharma saint, I didn't feel this way. Why does he have such an aura? Did he surpass the Dharma saint? That's impossible. He must have used the power of some secret treasure. Maybe it's something left behind by the heavenly talisman emperor. The legalists had god-level experts. As the #1 world in the Central Plains for thousands of years, their foundation surpassed most celestial sections. Even the Black Heaven-Earth sect, which was the top of the 72 immemorial mystical sects, didn't dare to say that they could surpass the legalists. If the rumors were true, that the Dharma saint was still alive and hadn't merged with the heavenly laws, then the Black Heaven-Earth sect would probably be at a disadvantage. Although the Black Heaven-Earth sect leader was a saint-level expert, compared to an ancient great saint like the Dharma saint, he was still a baby who had just learned to walk. As the legalists had a strong foundation, Fa Lufeng, who was the legalists' grand elder, was very knowledgeable. His understanding of the quality of magic power far exceeded that of ordinary celestial cultivators. He had thought that Gu Chensha had just had some fortuitous encounter and that his foundation was actually quite weak. But now, it seemed like that wasn't the case. In front of Gu Chensha, he instinctively felt that he was extremely small and insignificant. It was like the difference between a speck of dust and a mountain. In reality, that was the case. With Gu Chensha's current cultivation and the quality of the heavenly laws, he had cultivated the 22 transformations of heaven and earth. With his cultivation, as long as a cultivator hadn't cultivated the true dragon technique, even if they were at the 26 transformations of heaven and earth, he could instantly kill them. Fa Lufeng's Vajra technique quality was the same as his realm. He could simply kill them with a single breath. Fa Lufeng's Vajra technique quality was the same as his. In fact, Gu Chensha was now capable of secretly transforming a strand of his magic power into Fa Lufeng's magic power, allowing it to seep into his body and enter his sea of wisdom to obtain the countless secrets of the school of legalism. However, Fa Lufeng was completely unaware of it. However, Gu Chensha was not prepared to do so. Firstly, he wanted to be polite before resorting to violence against the legalists. Secondly, if the warlock saint was still around, he might sense something. According to the legends, the warlock saint had been pursuing the heavenly path technique all his life. His research on the quality of the true dragon technique was especially deep. It was rumored that he had mastered the 9 levels of the true dragon technique, which was the first in history. Chen Gu Chen, who he didn't shan at he had Chen, he Shen, he Shen Si and Shen Chen, he Ji, he Shen Chen at Gu he. Ji, he, Xian, Tian, Xian Ji, I Ji Tian. No wonder the Department of Calmness has developed so quickly. Even the 3 divine apes suffered a loss. Fa Lufeng calmed himself and stopped spying. He was afraid. The Department of Calmness actions had shocked the world. The aristocratic families had no choice but to take it seriously. The 3 divine apes, the 1,000 transformation stone ape, the Yin-Yang ghost ape, and the Vajra combat ape, had all suffered. Who would have thought that the tiny calming immortal department, which had yet to achieve anything, would actually be able to easily defeat the ape race? It wasn't a big deal for the department to defeat Jingqiu. After all, House Jing was too weak. The apes had been a great race among the monster spirits since ancient times. The chaotic demon ape god had become a god and shaken the world. My cultivation is just a bit faster. It's nothing to brag about. Gu Chensha waved a hand. I heard Brother Wuxian was injured when you fought Jingqiu for the Myrtle Imperial Star's secrets. I wonder how you've recovered? If you haven't, I can help. Our celestial demon tree has been refined and can condense many rare primordial spirit herbs. Thank you for your kindness. Fa Wuxian is in seclusion. Even I don't know when he'll come out. I'm really sorry that I can't meet with King. Fa Lufeng also knew some secrets, but he didn't know about Gu Chencha's fight with Jingqiu for the profoundness of the Myrtle Imperial Star. Immediately, he had an idea. Fa Wuxian wasn't a direct descendant of the school of legalism. Even though he was a natural-born saint, he hadn't made much of a name yet. He wouldn't tell his family some secrets to prevent his competitors from finding out. Many disciples of the school of legalism were extremely jealous of Fa Wuxian. They wanted nothing more than to kill him. Any great family would have internal strife, especially in a saint's family. The internal strife was even more bloody. There were schemes, infighting, and all sorts of things. It seems like the school of legalism still doesn't know that Jingqiu has the Myrtle Imperial Star's secrets. Fa Wuxian didn't say anything either. Gu Chensha nodded inwardly. He'd killed 2 birds with 1 stone by saying that. How miraculous was the Myrtle Imperial Star! Even the school of legalism coveted the secrets of the stars. King is here to visit the school of legalism. After all, the school of legalism produced the Empress and is inseparable from the imperial court. Speaking of which, King is also related to the school of legalism, Wen Hanlong said. I'm here to welcome King, Fa Lufeng said. Our school of legalism has already prepared a banquet and invites King to attend. King is here to represent the Celestial Tranquility Department. Our school of legalism doesn't dare to slight you. In that case, let's not waste any time. I also have something to discuss with the school of legalism. Gu Chensha floated into the air. This lowly official respectfully sends off King. When Hanlong hurriedly bowed, Gu Chensha nodded and left Dharma State City with Fa Lufeng. They arrived at the head of the Dharma State's Great Dragon Vein, at the foot of the school of legalism's Iron Mountain, where countless palaces were located. This was the foundation of the school of legalism. I wonder how King's discussion with the school of legalism will turn out. When Hanlong watched as Gu Chensha left. The great calamity is coming. The demonic nature and spiritual nature are about to clash again since ancient times. However, the calamity this time is probably much greater than any in history. I'm guarding Dharma State. What should I do? Just as he was thinking, a light suddenly flashed in front of him, and a general of the people appeared. He cupped his hands at Wen Hanlong. Lord Governor, I've come under orders to cooperate with you. Our Celestial Tranquility Department will provide you with a large number of human dragon pills, human dragon armor, and human dragon sword. We will nurture capable people for you to better supervise Dharma State and maintain the Imperial Court's order. That's great. When Hanlong was overjoyed. He knew that this general of the people was a puppet, but he didn't have the mechanical coldness of a puppet. On the contrary, he was very calm and knowledgeable. Every move he made had the air of a sage, and he was very dignified, just like a sage. Naturally, he was sent by Gu Chensha. When Hanlong was loyal to the imperial court, so as the head of the Celestial Tranquility Department, he had to help him. At the same time, he wanted to rope him in. A top talent, an expert at Tao Realm Transformation 20, was worth roping in. At that moment, Gu Chensha had already landed in front of the legalism sect. The legalism sect was built on a vast plain. The palaces stretched out and the Iron Mountain was like an ancient pillar that supported the sky. It was unique on the plains. The palaces of the legalism sect were really solemn. They were connected to one another and were tall and wide. Even the shortest one was hundreds of feet tall. Some of the main palaces were 10,000 feet tall and were no different from mountains. Anyone who saw these palaces would know that they couldn't be built by humans. Thus, they were filled with respect. Ever since the Dharma saint was born, the school of legalism had never declined in a great tribulation or era. The entire Dharma state didn't have any chaos, and one had to say that it was a miracle. The legalism sect had a giant main gate. The main gate was the highest and reached into the clouds. It was several miles wide and a person was as small as an ant in front of it. On the main gate, there were 4 black words that said, Gate of Order. This was written by the Dharma saint himself. It meant that the legalism sect represented order. It was said that when the legalism sect met guests, the main gate would never be opened. Even the most important guest could only enter from the side door. Gu Chernsha looked at the gate of order and his eyes shone. He followed Fa Lufeng into the side door and arrived at the main hall. Along the way, the legalism sect was really particular. Many of the legalism sect disciples stood on both sides of the corridor. They stood straight and looked at Gu Chernsha. The talents of these legalism disciples are all quite good. Their cultivation bases are all at the martial arts grandmaster level. And this is the most ordinary disciple of etiquette, Gu Chernsha thought. Although the report from the Celestial Tranquility Department contained some secrets of the legalism sect, it was a totally different feeling from entering the legalism sect to observe. The ceremonial disciples on the first floor of the palace were all martial arts grandmasters. As for the ceremonial disciples on the second floor, they were all disciples who had attained the first transformation of the Tao realm, submission to qi and fasting. The third palace's disciples were transformation 9 bulls and 2 tigers. The fourth was transformation 3 copper skin iron bones. Gu Chernsha walked into the great hall of the 6th floor before stopping. The ceremonial disciples were all at the 5th transformation, 100 apertures condensing spirit. The school of legalism lived up to its reputation as the #1 aristocratic family for several millennia. Even a disciple of etiquette they casually put on could become a peerless expert if placed in the common folk or the pugilistic world. Who knew how many other experts were hidden? Anyway, the legalism sect had more God realm experts than the ape race. There were definitely more than 3 of them. At that moment, a banquet was laid out in the 6th hall. There were 5 people accompanying the guests. These are the 5 elders of our legalism sect. They are ceremonial halls Fa Luyun, punishment halls Fa Liupa, pill halls Fa Luyao, wealth halls Fa Lujin, and weapon halls Fa Liushui. Fa Lufeng introduced, I am the skill hall elder. Chapter 467. The reason Gu Chernsha had come here this time was to negotiate with the God-level expert of the school of legalism, a true antique. But now there were only 6 great elders. Compared to the country, these 6 great elders were equivalent to the ministers of the 6 ministries. They couldn't make decisions at all. Even the current head of the school of Fa Lukong, did not come. The legalist system was actually the same as that of the ape. The old antiques who were divine-level experts basically did not come out. Every 30 years, the abbot would choose a clan leader, and the clan leader would deal with all sorts of matters within the clan. Only in a truly life-or-death situation would the old-timers come out. According to the Calming Immortal Department's intelligence, the patriarch of the Fa clan, Fa Lukong, was already at the peak of the 26th transformation, 10,000 techniques returned to 1. He would soon break through to the 27th transformation, seamless realm of 2. This was information from a few years ago. Now there was a possibility of a breakthrough. The head of the school of legalism didn't come out, and neither did Old Antique. On the surface, the 6 elders appeared to be very polite, but in fact they were refusing to negotiate. Of course, the legalist strategy was much more brilliant than the Jing family's. May I know where the head of Clan Fa is? When Gu Chernsha entered the banquet, he discovered that there were some rare immortal fruits being served. There were also medicinal pills that were unique to the legalism school. The reception was quite extravagant. Our patriarch has yet to come out of seclusion, and our ancestors are also in seclusion. They seem to be on the verge of a breakthrough, so we didn't come out to greet your highness this time. However, we, the great elders of the 6 palaces, are completely capable of deciding what Your Highness has come to discuss. There is no need to disturb the patriarch and old ancestor. Fa Lufeng said lightly, but the underlying meaning was very clear. Gu Chunsha was not qualified to meet the patriarch and some of the ancestors. The school of legalism had always been revered throughout the dynasties. Even if an emperor came to visit, the clan leader would not personally receive him. Moreover, the women of the school of legalism would not marry into the royal family, as they felt that the royal family did not have any foundation and that their bloodline was inferior. In fact, it was the same for the sage clans that had existed for thousands of years. Generally speaking, sage families would intermarry with each other and would never marry into the commoners. It was rumored that before the heavenly talisman great emperor had established the Yonko, he had been rejected by the legalists when he visited them. However, it was unknown why the legalists married a woman to him, and she even assisted him in establishing the Yonko and unifying the world. From Gu Chencha's point of view, the legalists must have looked down on the heavenly talisman great emperor at the beginning and were forced to submit to his powerful methods. It was the same for the nest of 10,000 dragons. This was especially true for the Black Heaven Earth Gate. Gu Chunsha suspected that if it weren't for the fact that the Tranquil Fairy Department had recently defeated the apes, the legalists probably wouldn't even bother with him. In front of a colossal aristocratic family that had existed for thousands of years, what was a short-lived emperor? He was just a mud stick with a little bit of luck. This time, I'm here on behalf of the Tranquil Fairy Department to discuss cooperation with the legalists. I'm sure the legalists know that countless demons have gathered in the bottomless sea of Sin in the Sin province. Experts at the level of demon saints and demon gods are ready to invade the divine central continent at any time. Humans and demons cannot coexist. As the number one aristocratic family, the legalists should ally with the imperial court to fight against the demons. Gu Chunsha directly stated his intentions. Although the legalists had the intention of keeping people at arm's length, Gu Chunsha still had to state his intentions and see what the legalists thought. That's only natural. The legalists will definitely cooperate with the imperial court to slay the demons. It's our duty. A few days ago, the Crown Prince and Imperial Concubine Ming established the Heaven Alliance and came to look for us. Fa Liufeng's reply was very slippery. The legalists have already reached an agreement with the Heaven Alliance. Of course, we can also reach an agreement with the Tranquil Fairy Department. What do you think, Tranquil Fairy Department? It was obvious that he was just pretending to be polite. Gu Chunsha sneered inwardly, but he said, "The legalists probably know that our Tranquil Fairy Department has obtained the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra. In order to fight against the Devil Calamity, our Tranquil Fairy Department is willing to announce it to the world so that everyone in the world can become geniuses, unparalleled geniuses. However, the minds of the people in the world are hard to fathom. If we announce it, many lawless people will obtain it and use it to wreak havoc in the world. When the Devil Calamity comes, chaos will come first. If the legalists are sincere, our Tranquil Fairy Department is willing to cooperate with them and operate these two supreme heaven-defying arts together. After all, among all the aristocratic families, the legalists are the most concerned about order. They can also bring order out of chaos and restore order." He took out the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra as bait. As expected, the expressions of the 6 Grand Elders changed when they heard this. They exchanged glances and quickly communicated with each other using their psyche waves. Any faction would covet the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra, especially the legalists. If they could obtain it, they would be able to strengthen their family's influence and stay at the top for eternity. The Dragon Making Heart Sutra and Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra are too heaven-defying. Although our Tranquil Fairy Department has started the Common People's Wish Academy, we are only teaching the first part of the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra. After the disciples cultivate it, they will only be able to gather sufficient dragon-nurturing qi in their bodies. They won't be able to change their aptitude. As long as the second part is taught, the dragon-nurturing qi will seep into their bodies, and they will immediately obtain great achievements. Gu Chernsha continued to tempt them. If the disciples of the legalists can cultivate it, their strength will increase by another level. Is the Tranquil Fairy Department really willing to share the dragon-nurturing Heart Sutra and dragon-making Heart Sutra with our legalists? The Pill Hall's Grand Elder, Fa Luyao, suddenly asked. His eyes were bursting with radiance. Of course, our Tranquil Fairy Department can share it with the people of the world. In the end, everyone in the world will become a genius, an unparalleled genius, and a saint. This is the structure of the world that countless great sages have pursued. Their ambition. The legalists are also a part of the world. Why can't we share it with the legalists? Gu Chernsha spoke in a righteous tone. I know that the various aristocratic families might feel that some of the matters of the Tranquil Fairy Department are not in line with our ideals. However, to be honest, the legalists have been protecting the Central Divine Prefecture all these years. Their contributions are boundless, and they are the cornerstone of the human race. We have seen them for ourselves. Gu Chernsha's words were also unpredictable. This kid is hard to deal with. When the Grand Elders of the 6 halls heard this, they did not feel happy about being complimented at all. Instead, they frowned. They could feel that Gu Chernsha was definitely not an ordinary person. He was someone who was hard to get rid of. The things that he took out were also extremely tempting. They had originally wanted to host a banquet and get rid of Gu Chernsha. However, if they were to get rid of him now, and Gu Chernsha turned around and said the same thing to the other aristocratic families, the other aristocratic families might agree. Then, the position of the legalists would be threatened. For example, the Wu family, the Fan family, the Wen family, the Lei family. If these families obtained the dragon-nurturing heart technique and dragon creation heart technique, who knew who would be the #1 aristocratic family in the world in a few hundred years? However, if they wanted to obtain the dragon-nurturing heart technique and dragon creation heart technique from Gu Chernsha, it would not be easy for the legalists. They would definitely have to pay a huge price. Thinking of this, Fa Lufeng suddenly had an idea. Why don't we just fall out and activate the power of all the law realms of the legalists to suppress this kid? I'll seize his memories and dig out the dragon-nurturing heart technique and dragon creation heart technique from his head. Other than that, there are also various heavenly demon secret techniques, the Great Massacre God technique, and other supreme ultimate technique. That way, even if the other aristocratic families in the world join forces, our legalists would not be a match for them. When he thought of this, he exchanged glances with the other Grand Elders of the legalists. They all had the same idea. Although the Tranquil Fairy Department has cultivated the Life's Wish Sphere and the Heavenly Demon Tree, it is considered powerful, after all. After all, the Life's Wish Sphere has only been accumulated for a few years. There is no way it can resist all our law realms, Fa Luyao thought. Gu Chernsha looked at these people coldly. Whatever the other party was thinking couldn't escape his prying eyes. These Grand Elders of the legalists are not good people either. They actually want to kill me and steal my treasures. They are not much different from the Demon Clan. That day the Ape Clan thought the same. The Ape Clan and the Nest of 10,000 Dragons arrangement could not do anything to the Tranquil Fairy Department. Although the legalists are stronger than the Ape Clan, I don't believe that they are stronger than the Nest of 10,000 Dragons. Gu Chernsha already knew what kind of people these aristocratic families were. I wonder what the legalists' attitude is. If they are not willing, I would like to do business with the Tai Mystic Sect and the Mystic Sect of the Universe. Gu Chernsha directly said, the Taishan Capital Sect leader and Chang Weiyang Sect leader approve of our Tranquil Fairy Department very much. Right now, the Taishan Capital Sect leader's son, Tai Mangdi, is in our Tranquil Fairy Department. Last time, it was the two of them who helped me defeat the ape clan. This sentence woke up the grand elders of the 6 palaces. They immediately realized that the tranquil fairy department had the support of these 2 mystic sects. The legalists had to be careful. This matter is very important. We have to report it to our superiors. In at least 3 days, or at most 7 days, the legalists will personally send someone to the Tranquil Fairy Department to discuss this cooperation. Fa Lufeng stood up and extinguished the thought of killing Gu Chunxia now. In that case, I will take my leave first. Gu Chunxia had come this time to test out the strength of the legalists. He had secretly activated his magic power to investigate and discovered that there was an incomparably huge potential hidden within the legalist's palace. Even he could not easily sneak in and stir up trouble, or else he would be in great danger. What a pity! Although I am now in the lawful phenomenon realm, if I could go one step further and reach the 23 transformations reflecting the past, I might be able to discover the gaps in the legalist's matrix and its operation. I could calculate opportunities first and sneak in deeper to obtain many of the legalist's secret. Gu Chunxia already knew that the legalists were legalists after all. It was temporarily impossible for him to obtain some key things. His cultivation was still a little lacking. After bidding farewell, he left the legalists. The grand elders of the 6 palaces watched him leave, their eyes flashing with cold light. Fa Lioyun's expression was cold. I still think we should suppress this kid and seize his dragon creation and dragon raising technique. We absolutely cannot allow them to fall into the hands of other factions. We can't make a move for now, Fa Luyao said, waving his hand dismissively. Most importantly, we don't know what the Lord of 7 Stars is planning. Perhaps she's prepared. And that's not all. We still haven't received word that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor has truly disappeared. If we act rashly, it will be very dangerous. Chapter 468. The School of Legalism is indeed unfathomable. I entered just like that and saw many clues. It is no longer possible for me to sneak in and obtain the secrets of the Dharma Saint. After Gu Chunxia came out, his eyes became deep. However, if I want to do that, I can take a detour and go to the mysterious gate of the universe to deal with the 2 old guys, Chang Weiyang and Tai Xuandu. Compared to the school of legalism, the Tai mystic sect and the mysterious gate of the universe were more suitable for cooperation. The people from the school of legalism had the intention to kill after a few words. If not for all the considerations, they would have already done it. Legalism, just you wait. Since you have the intention to kill, there is no need for me to feign civility with you. I will do my best to weaken your strength. I can say for sure that when the demon disaster breaks out and the demons deal with the tranquil immortal department, your school of legalism will stab us in the back. Gu Chenchia's body spread out and turned into a soundless cloud chi. He flew at a speed that was more than 100 times faster than when he had gone to the mysterious gate of the universe. When he had arrived at the mysterious gate of the universe in the East Wilderness, his cultivation was still at the 19 changes of Tao realm size manipulation. He had relied on his physical body and Dan Qi. He had not even cultivated his magic power, let alone the quality of the heavenly Tao. Compared to then, his current strength was worlds apart, be it in terms of cultivation realm or combat strength. He was soundless as he circulated his magic power. It was as if he had blended into the world. He flew without leaving any traces. He was like a cool breeze, like a white cloud, like the essence of the world, like the nourishment of rain. No matter how well one concealed oneself, there would still be flaws when one cultivated in flight, and it would be easily noticed by others. However, after Gu Chunxia cultivated the 22 transformations of heaven and earth, he was able to fuse into one with everything in the world at any time, and he would never retreat. This sort of profundity was something that even gods were unable to notice. A few hours later, he arrived at the mysterious gate of the universe from the Dharma province. This time, he entered the mysterious gate of the universe with ease. When Gu Qinsha entered the pool of universe thunder, he saw Tai Xuandu and Wen Hong playing chess, while Chang Weiyang watched from the side. Dang! Wen Hong placed down a black chess piece. Tai Xian thought about it for a long time and then sighed. As expected from the Son of Destiny, each generation has its own talent. Wen Hong, you win this round. Senior, you're too polite. Senior, you're just trying to help me win. Wen Hong put away the chess piece and saw Gu Qinsha walking in. At this time, Chang Weiyang and Tai Xian looked over. Wonderful! The three of them exclaimed simultaneously. To think that you actually succeeded. The heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor is truly one of the strongest existences in history. Chang Weiyang could already tell the quality of Gu Qinsha's heavenly Dao art. I'm actually able to witness the appearance of a heavenly Dao art in my lifetime. Tai Xian exclaimed, it seems like it was right for me to let my son join your celestial calmness department. Once the heavenly Dao art is cultivated, you will be able to sever the threads of fate. From now on, even the holy heavenly venerables won't be able to calculate your fate, future, and even your past. In the heavenly secrets, you are invisible. Wen Hong said, the celestial treading bloodline is indeed able to suppress the heavenly Tao. I came here to discuss some things with the mysterious gate of the universe and Tai mystic sect. Gu Qinsha said, Never-ending sect master, we've already captured Do 19, who you wanted to kill, and obtained all of his memories. However, we still need to use him to do various things, so we haven't killed him for now. A living Do 19 is more valuable than a dead Do 19. Zhuge Ye's calculations are really deep. He used Do 19 just like that to obtain the Azure Dragon and White Tiger. Now that all 4 Saint Beasts are gathered, your Celestial Calmness Department's potential will increase greatly. More importantly, no matter what tribulations you face, you can escape. Preserve the spark. Chang Weiyang nodded. So you're saying that you came here to exchange the things you obtained from Do 19 for something? I know that the Celestial Calmness Department has been flourishing recently. I've also noticed those people's generals. Even I can't refine this treasure. It's not a trade. It's a complete alliance. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. The greatest benefit I obtained from Do 19 is the Dragon Raising Sutra and Dragon Making Sutra. These 2 sutras are the greatest merit in the world. If you hand them over to the Tai mystic sect and the mysterious gate of the universe, I'm afraid that the overall strength of your sects will increase by several times in a few decades. Theoretically, that's true. However, you've forgotten one thing. Chang Weiyang shook her head. That's the tribulations. The Dragon Raising Sutra is a heaven-defying sutra. It can change one's aptitude. However, one's aptitude is innate. If it's changed through cultivation, the tribulations will be extremely great. If I'm not mistaken, you've already died once. That makes sense. Gu Qinsha knew that even if one cultivated the Dragon Raising Sutra and Dragon Making Sutra, one couldn't become a genius or even an unparalleled genius. Instead, once one cultivated, one's life would be filled with difficulties and many tribulations would come one after another. Only by passing the tribulations could one achieve something. There's no such thing as a smooth sailing in the world. Why should I be afraid of tribulations? The more tribulations there are, the more I sharpen myself. I've cultivated the heavenly Tao, so there will be many more tribulations in the future. Each time I raise a realm, the heavenly Tao's influence on me will be greater. However, this is also the best way to cultivate. Constantly resisting the heavenly Tao's influence will benefit my soul greatly. This kind of training on the border of life and death can forge my determination to destroy everything. Gu Qinsha wasn't afraid of tribulations. The heavenly Tao is also beneficial to us. The Dragon Making Sutra and Dragon Raising Sutra are undoubtedly beneficial to the sect. Tai Xian said, "What do you want? How do you want to trade?" "What I want to do is beneficial to all of you too." Gu Chensha looked at Tai Xian, sect leader Xiandu. "If I'm not wrong, you've felt that the heavenly Tao is attracting you more and more. You have to spend a lot of mental energy to resist it, otherwise you'll be assimilated by the heavenly Tao and merge with it. In the end, you'll disappear and die. But there's something that can solve this." "You're talking about comprehending variables?" Tai Xian shook his head. "The Tao of variables isn't easy to comprehend. No, it's to obtain the secrets of the Dharma Saint." It's said that the Dharma Saint didn't merge with the Tao and instead researched a method to resist the heavenly Tao. Gu Chensha said, "The Warlock Saint has spent his entire life studying the transformations of magic power. It is said that he has already reached the highest realm of the 9 levels true dragon technique. This time, I went to the school of legalism and vaguely felt that the Warlock Saint is still alive." "The Dharma Saint is indeed still alive," Chang Weiyang said. "My father once caught a trace of the Dharma Saint and wanted to discuss some things with the Dharma Saint. Unfortunately, the Dharma Saint avoided him. In the end, my father couldn't resist the heavenly Tao's call and merged with it. If the Dharma Saint has such a method, then he probably opened another path. He doesn't need to become a variable to be close to undying." Gu Chensha frowned. "My father once said that the Dharma Saint is the most special out of all the saints. He seems to have understood the essence of the laws." Chang Weiyang said, "Although I've comprehended the variable and cultivated a technique, if I don't comprehend it and break through the 36 transformations and jump out of the 3 realms, I'm afraid I'll lose to the Dharma Saint. Not only that, I suspect that the 3 sky venerables won't be able to do anything to the Dharma Saint." "He's that strong?" A worried expression appeared on Gu Chensha's face. "It seems like the Dharma Saint is much stronger than I imagined. All saints have to merge with the heavenly Tao and enter destruction. The stronger they are, the more likely they are to disappear at any time. Only the Dharma Saint avoided the call and exists forever." Wen Hong's expression was solemn. If the legalists were easy to deal with, they wouldn't have been able to sit on the throne of the top families for so long. "Isn't the legalists stronger than the Black Heaven Earth sect?" Gu Chensha asked. "Of course," Chang Weiyang warned, "you have to be extremely careful if you want to attack the school of legalism. If the Warlock Saint really appears, I'm afraid Tai Xian and I, along with Wen Hong, will not be a match for him. The Dharma Saint was a great saint from the ancient era and had left behind countless legends. He was many times older than Chang Weiyang and Tai Xian. If he hadn't died, the things he had accumulated would be terrifying. He really is strong. If that's the case, if we obtain his secrets, we'll have more resources." Gu Chensha didn't give up on the idea of obtaining secrets from the legalists. The stronger the Dharma Saint was, the more useful the secrets would be to him. What Gu Chensha wanted the most was research on the quality of the heavenly Tao technique. This would be of great benefit to his future cultivation. If he obtained the results of the Dharma Saint's research, it would be the same as standing on the shoulders of the King of Saints. "You still haven't given up?" Chang Weiyang asked curiously. "No matter what, the Dharma Saint didn't cultivate the heavenly Tao techniques, but I did," Gu Chensha said. "This is where he is inferior to me." "That's true." Chang Weiyang wasn't really afraid of the Dharma Saint. Since Gu Chensha was willing to be the vanguard, she naturally wouldn't reject him. "What plans do you have? Tell us. If we can help, we won't be stingy. After all, after obtaining the Dharma Saint's secrets, we'll have enough benefits. These are the secrets of the 3 sky sovereigns that I obtained from Do 19. Gu Chensha sent out a thought and displayed the memories he obtained from Do 19. Apart from that, there was also the complete version of the dragon cultivation technique. "I'll give you the complete version of the dragon nurturing mantra," Gu Qinsha said, "But I hope you won't spread it. Just train disciples in secret. As for the dragon cultivation technique, it's too heaven-defying. After we obtain the Dharma Saint's secrets, we'll give it to you." Chapter 469. The Dragon-Making Heart Sutra was extremely mysterious. The cultivator would cultivate the dragon-making chi in his body and slowly turn himself into an unparalleled genius. Unparalleled geniuses could cultivate until they were close to the god. In fact, even those naturally born geniuses would need the dragon creation mantra to strengthen their foundations, so that their talent as a peerless genius would be even more stable. It was the same for geniuses. Be it geniuses or unparalleled geniuses, they were divided into different levels, just like natural saints. For example, Fa Wuxian's talent was far from Zhuge Ye's. Natural geniuses and unparalleled geniuses were like those with divine powers. They were powerful, but if they cultivated martial arts, it would just be the icing on the cake. Actually, geniuses and unparalleled geniuses needed the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon-Making Heart Sutra more. They cultivated these two techniques to strengthen their foundations and gain more benefits than ordinary people. Even natural saints needed to cultivate these two techniques to gather the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon-Making Heart Sutra in their bodies, circulating and transforming them to understand where their talent came from. It was just like how the high and mighty immortals also needed to cultivate their hearts in the mortal world. Moreover, the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon-Making Heart Sutra did not just increase talent, they also had extremely strong defense and killing power. Back then, Gu Qinsha used a small part of the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra to activate the Dragon Gate that he cultivated, which could absorb all innate Earth Chi attacks and convert the energy of the attacks into Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra, making him invincible in battle. Just this alone made the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra one of the best techniques in the world. At the same time, the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra could convert all types of innate Earth Chi, simulating changes and becoming the source of all internal cultivation technique. The offensive power of the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra was also very shocking. After cultivating, the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra would spread throughout the body, giving one immense strength. After cultivating the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra, all martial arts would be at their fingertips, and their body would be almost indestructible, immune to all poisons and could neutralize all poisons. If it was a martial artist, even if they only received a few sentences of the Dragon-Nurturing Heart Sutra, they could immediately become a top expert, establish their own sect, and become an ancestor. The disciples of the profound Immortal Tao sect were even more impressive. Gu Qinsha had given the Dragon-Raising Sutra to the Profound Cosmos sect and the Tai Fantasy sect in order to increase his own strength. These two sects had already formed an alliance with him. Perhaps they would have to fight against the three heavenly masters in the future. As for Wen Hong, Gu Qinsha had also passed on the dragon creation mantra to him. After all, Wen Hong was her mother's relative, so she could trust him. "Brat, this time, we've gained a huge benefit," Chang Weiyang said. "Just what kind of plan do you have against the Dharma Saint? Just tell me." Ever since the transaction with Gu Qinsha, even Chang Weiyang, this anomaly, had obtained quite a few benefits. She already knew that Gu Qinsha and the people of Calming Immortal Department all possessed extremely great luck. "We can't force our way through the legalists. We need to outsmart them," Gu Qinsha said. "Now that I'm proficient in the art of transformation, I've decided to transform into Do 19 and try to enter the legalists. However, the legalists are heavily restricted. If I enter, I'll be taking a huge risk. I also need the three of you to work together to refine a talisman for me. This talisman is an ancient shaman talisman recorded in the Xing Qiong clan's secret technique. With Chang Weiyang, Tai Xiandu, and Wen Hong working together to refine a talisman, its power was unimaginable. Gu Qinsha needed this talisman to protect himself at crucial times. My current art of transformation is very exquisite, but it has a flaw. That is, I can only transform into existences with a higher realm than myself. Gu Chunsha said, so I need the three of you to refine this talisman and use ancient shaman techniques to help me. This way, when I transform, I can perfectly imitate the cultivation of Do 19's undying body. So you have such a series of plans. Wen Hong was the first to agree. With your current transformation, with your cultivation of 22 transformations of heaven and earth, it is indeed difficult for even a saint to notice if you transform into an existence of the same realm as you. However, if you transform into an existence of a higher realm than you, then there will be a huge flaw. With a talisman made from ancient shaman techniques, this flaw can be made up for. However, you also have to be careful. While the talisman we refine can make up for this flaw, if you meet someone with a cultivation higher than ours, they might also be able to see through it. What they see through is our talisman, not your heavenly Tao technique. The Dharma saint might very well be among the legalists. Then, you will be in extreme danger. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. At the same time, Gu Chunsha said to Chang Weiyang, I still need to borrow this pool of universe thunder to cultivate my own supernatural power. That's fine. I want to see what level your cultivation has reached, and what mysteries a heavenly Tao technique has. Chang Weiyang also wanted to use this opportunity to observe Gu Chunsha. In that case, we have an agreement. If I obtain the secret of resisting the heavenly Tao from the Dharma saint and the legalists, I will definitely share it with you all. Gu Chunsha had already completed his plan of alliance. Pool of universe thunder. Chang Weiyang pointed, and instantly, the space of the pool of universe thunder opened up. Endless connate lightning water, and the miraculous effects of transforming all things, appeared before his eyes. Gu Chunsha's body transformed, and instantly, he transformed into the river of myriad things, which directly entered the space of the pool of universe thunder. He wanted to borrow the power of the pool of universe thunder to further his transformation and predict a transformation even more powerful than the river of myriad things. Once the true dragon Dharma reached the 5th tier, which was also known as the 9-5 number, it could evolve the river of myriad things, which was the pinnacle of the transformations of heaven and earth in the ancient records. But now that Gu Chunsha had cultivated the heavenly Tao technique, the transformation of his magic power would definitely not be as powerful as that of the river of myriad things. This kid is really strong. In a battle of magical powers at the same level, he's probably invincible. Tai Xuandu was also carefully observing Gu Chunsha's cultivation in the pool of universe thunder. The operation of the heavenly Tao technique was something he had never seen or heard of before. Even though Gu Chunsha's power was so weak compared to his, he was much stronger. The transformation of the heavenly Tao technique is something we have never seen before. This time we can gain a lot of experience. Chang Weiyang was also watching intently. Gu Chunsha transformed into the river of myriad things, and entered the pool of universe thunder. He began to borrow the power of the pool of universe thunder to propel his transformation. Heavenly Demon Tree. Rumble. The river of myriad things changed again. Gu Chunsha transformed into a heavenly demon tree. However, the heavenly demon tree was extremely unstable and could collapse at any moment. It was also far from the original heavenly demon tree. The heavenly demon tree was born as a god, and it has many characteristics that gods cannot understand. It will be difficult for him to transform. Wen Hong shook his head. Look, he is actually transforming into the immortal slaying god punishing gourd. Tai Xuandu pointed. The heavenly demon tree that Gu Chunsha had transformed into crumbled, but his spiritual power condensed again, turning into a gourd. A flying dagger flew out of the gourd. This flying dagger had wings and eyes. As long as it locked onto someone, even if they fled to the ends of the world, they would not be able to escape. I was killed by the real immortal slaying God punishing flying dagger, but Father's bloodline wrapped around the dagger energy and revived me. Now I am using the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth to transform into this gourd. This might be my strongest attack. Gu Chensha continued to transform. With a slash, the universe lightning pool gave out a loud rumbling sound. Such strength. He can even kill a Tao realm 26 transformations all back to one cultivator in one strike. Tai Xuandu was shocked by such strength. Those who have cultivated the true dragon technique might not die immediately, but those who have not cultivated the true dragon technique will completely dissipate in a single strike. All the essence in their bodies will be snatched away by this saber. Chang Weiyang understood. At that moment, Gu Chensha transformed once more. He actually transformed into the universe lightning pool. Right when he cultivated in the universe lightning pool, his heaven Tao technique seeped into it and he comprehended many secrets. He started to form a small universe lightning pool. Honglong. His body turned into a small universe lightning pool. At that moment, he resonated with the real universe lightning pool. Numerous explosions spread out from within the universe lightning pool. The universe lightning pool actually started to shake like never before. Chang Weiyang stood up. It seemed like she didn't expect such a change. Gu Chensha was using his heaven Tao technique to push the universe lightning pool. Instead, he was tempering the universe lightning pool and not the other way around. 1. The universe lightning pool seemed to be activated by the heaven Tao technique and started to change. It wasn't a cube anymore and it slowly turned into a person. This person was blurry and his aura was like that of the strongest saint. Although his face was blurry, Chang Weiyang recognized him right away. This was her father, Chang Yuzhou. He had already merged with the Tao, but now, it seemed like he was going to revive once more. Father? Chang Weiyang's tone was a little emotional. For saints who merged with the Tao, due to the changes in heaven and earth, or because the family had worshipped them for a long time, their wish power would reach a certain level. However, it was impossible for them to revive completely. The Wu family had a secret technique where the family worshipped the martial saint for thousands of years. If it was used up, the martial saint could gather once more and use his full strength for a few hours. This was the Wu family's trump card. All sage clans placed great importance on worshipping. This was because if they worshipped enough and accumulated enough power, they could exchange for the sage from the heavenly Tao to show himself. The universe mysterious gate had also worshipped and accumulated a lot of power. However, Chang Weiyang didn't use this power this time. Yet, Chang Yuzhou was about to show himself. What was going on? Weiyang, I didn't expect you to be able to make friends with someone who has cultivated the Heaven Tao technique. If you can use the Heaven Tao technique to its peak, you can strip me from the Heaven Tao law and let me reappear in the world. It's a pity that this person's cultivation level is too low. Since that's the case, I'll impart all my experiences to this person. A powerful memory was directly injected into Gu Chensha's magic power. Chapter 470. Chang Yuzhou was one of the strongest among the sages. The current sages, such as Li Wanlong, the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor, and the Black Heaven-Earth sect leader, were all inferior to him. Even though Chang Weiyang had comprehended the Tao of Divergence, his battle prowess was still inferior to that of a veteran sage like Chang Yuzhou. Chang Yuzhou had been invincible in the past. He had rebelled against the Black Heaven-Earth sect, and this number one force could do nothing to him. This showed how powerful he was. He had reached a level where he could tear the heavens and overturn the earth. This universe thunder pool was also a connate numinous treasure that he had obtained. Now Gu Chensha had activated the heavenly Tao technique and injected it into the universe thunder pool. It actually felt as though Chang Yuzhou had been pulled out of the fusion of the heavenly Tao. This was simply heaven-defying. Of course, this could be a special characteristic of the heavenly Tao technique. Chang Yuzhou was only manifesting his spirit. To truly revive, Gu Chensha would probably have to cultivate to the same level as the three heavenly venerables. However, it was just a possibility. It could not be guaranteed to work, but it gave people hope. After Chang Yuzhou manifested his spirit and saw the quality of the heavenly Tao technique that Gu Chensha had cultivated, he immediately understood what was going on. Gu Chensha's dermic powers were insufficient, and his cultivation level was too low. He could not allow him to exist for any longer. Therefore, he immediately injected his lifetime of memories and comprehension, as well as countless cultivation techniques, into Gu Chensha's spiritual sea. Given the vastness of his memories, any other expert would have instantly lost their original consciousness. However, this did not matter to Gu Chensha. The quality of his heavenly Tao technique could store countless memories. After giving Gu Chensha all his memories, Chang Yuzhou gradually disappeared, and the universe thunder pool returned to its original appearance. After seeing this, Chang Weiyang and the others were all shocked. They looked at each other and only regained their senses after a long while. I did not expect the quality of the heavenly Tao technique to be able to pull back a sage who had already achieved Tao integration. When Hong's face was filled with joy. Looks like this kid will be very valuable in the future. No matter what, the Black Universe sect will fully nurture him. Chang Weiyang said decisively, "My father actually imparted all his cultivation memories and experiences to this kid. The profound Cosmos Gate is no longer a secret to him. Truly formidable. This brat's future achievements will surely surpass ours by a lot. Let's see how he cultivates now." Profound Sky was still studying. At this moment, Gu Chensha had already transformed into the purest form of magic power. It was constantly changing and squirming, as though it was digesting the experiences and memories that Chang Yuzhou had transmitted to it. Countless pieces of information rolled around in that mass of magic power of his. His magic power gradually took on the color of chaos. Could it be that he wants to turn his magic power into chaos? How was this possible? When Hong's eyes widened as he thought to himself, a Heaven's Path magical power can actually simulate primal chaos? In the end, Gu Chensha transformed into a sphere that resembled primal chaos. It spun constantly, and within it were all sorts of magical treasures. There was the immortal slaying god executioner gourd, the universe lightning pool, the common life's wish sphere, the heavenly demon tree, and more. The speed of these changes became faster and faster, causing one's eyes to be unable to take it all in. In the end, it returned to chaos. Just like that, he continued to calculate, change, squirm, and flicker. He continued to calculate for an entire month. In the end, there was a loud explosion and Gu Chensha transformed back into himself. His cultivation realm didn't increase, and he was still at the Tao Realm 22 transformation phenomenon. However, his familiarity with magic power, his understanding of the Heaven Tao, his comprehension of tribulations, his usage of magical techniques, and his future cultivation were all things that the him from a month ago couldn't compare to. His magic power transformation had completely exceeded the river of all things. Returning to the source, he could pretty much transform into chaotic energy. He could shatter all things and turn them into chaos. With his current killing strength, if he transformed into the immortal slaying god executioner flying knife, it would be twice as strong as a month ago. His various transformation techniques had also improved greatly. This time, he had completely received Chang Yuzhou's legacy. The process of Chang Yuzhou cultivating step by step, comprehending step by step, finally becoming a sage, and then finally merging with the Tao was deeply engraved in his memory, and he had completely digested it. He had received the scattered memories of the Lord of Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang, as well as a small portion of the Xingqiong clan's memories. He had also received the scattered memories of the demon race sages. Although he had a lot of knowledge, it wasn't complete. He didn't have a path that connected the entire timeline. But now, all of Chang Yuzhou's memories were fused into his enlightenment. It was like he had a backbone, allowing him to connect all of the sages' fragmented enlightenment together and form a complete path. At the same time, all of the secret magics of the Black Heaven Earth Gate and the techniques of the Black Sect of the Universe were under his control. Chang Yuzhou was one of the upper echelons of the Black Heaven Earth Gate. Naturally, he had learned all of the secret magics. He had also created the Black Sect of the Universe's technique. Everything he had learned in his life could be said to be a heterogeneous collection of knowledge. Furthermore, he had established his own sect, starting from the most minute details. Gu Chunsha continued to calculate and circulate. With this as the backbone, like the axle of a wheel, he connected the common people to mend the heavens and reform the heavens, complementing each other. The great massacre divine art and the Son of Heaven's God sealing art became even more closely integrated. Kill. A beam of light pierced through the eons, destroying the spring and autumn. Gu Chunsha emerged from the pool of lightning. Many thanks to the Black Sect of the Universe for helping me. I have received all of Senior Chang Yuzhou's memories, including his cultivation experience and enlightenment. This kind of opportunity will definitely be rewarded. In the future, when my cultivation succeeds, I will definitely separate Senior Chang Yuzhou from the process of Tao unification and resurrect him. Gu Chunsha clasped his hands sincerely. This is also my father's fortuitous encounter. Chang Weiyang took out a talisman, which shone with the aura of a primordial witchcraft curse. You cultivated in the pool of lightning for a month. The three of us used the Xingqiong clan's techniques and primordial witchcraft to refine this talisman. It can assist you in your transformation, allowing you to perfectly simulate the transformations of Do 19. When in danger, use this talisman. It can unleash immense power to tear apart the enemy and protect you while escaping. However, this talisman can only be used once against an enemy. It is equivalent to the three of us joining forces and attacking with all our might. I understand. Gu Chunsha took the talisman and felt the immense power contained within. He nodded to himself and infused his magic power into it. Instantly, the talisman completely lost its ripples and became like the void. What do the three of you think of the demon disaster? Gu Chunsha asked again. Actually, whether it was the legalists, the Black Heaven Earth Sect, Wu Dangkong and the others' Heaven Alliance, or the Great Might Dynasty, none of them were the main threats. The great calamity of this world was the demon disaster. The demonic nature that represented chaos and the spiritual nature that represented order clashed. Yin and yang clashed, and darkness and light opposed each other. The demon disaster had always been Gu Chunsha's greatest worry. If he could eliminate the demon disaster, everything could be easily dealt with. The demon disaster is unavoidable. When Hong said, "I've already seen where the seal in the demon domain is broken." Many of the demon race's demon gods and demon sages work together to set up the stronghold. It's boiling with demonic nature and is about to succeed. The demon disaster could happen at any time. The three of us can't stop it. Even the three heavenly venerables won't stop it. It's like when yin and yang lose their balance and suddenly explode, no one will stop it. Because the longer they delay it, the greater the power of the explosion. When a flood comes, it doesn't stop it. Instead, it releases. The more it is blocked, the more ferocious the flood will be. Tai Xian said, "I think it's best for the tranquil immortal department to avoid it. Right now, it's already become a critical point for the demonic nature to boil. If the demon disaster breaks out, the first to attack will be the tranquil immortal department. The consequences will be hard to predict. I also know about this, but if the tranquil immortal department retreats, won't the common people suffer? Those aristocratic families definitely won't go up against it. They will only defend their own territories and let the demon disaster wreak havoc before coming out to clean up the mess. They do this every time. But after the demon disaster breaks out, they will come out to take advantage of it. Gu Chensha frowned. The world is in such a good situation. The common people are living extremely well now. But after the demon disaster breaks out, the world will be in ruins. Someone needs to stand on the front lines. Those who stand on the front lines will basically all die. For example, in history, the first time the common people rebelled, they definitely opened up a path for the true king and became cannon fodder. Wen Hong shook his head. Where there's life, there's hope. The tranquil immortal department is the hope of the common people. If you fall in the first wave of the demon disaster, I'm afraid that all hope will be lost. Moreover, your cultivation bases aren't high enough. You need to avoid the demon disaster and make a comeback. If one of you becomes a deity, then you might have a high chance of growing stronger in the demon disaster. But right now you are just too weak. The difference between having a deity and not having a deity was too great. A deity could use the power of the world and unleash all sorts of might. The common people's wish sphere could only be fully activated by a deity and unleash its greatest power. Even if there are millions of people, I will still go forward. Gu Chensha laughed. If the demon disaster breaks out, so be it. We have to stand at the forefront and be the ones to control the tide. Only in the face of the most intense heaven and earth calamity can we stimulate ourselves and show our true colors of life and death. You are indeed a young man, full of drive. Chang Wei-yang waved her hand, and the situation of the bottomless sea of sin appeared. At the place where the seal was broken, the devil chi had reached its peak. It was pitch black, and there seemed to be countless devil thunder rumbling. Even Chang Wei-yang couldn't figure out what was inside. It was a devil formation set up by many demon god experts and demon saints. In addition, there was also the prison-suppressing black tablet left behind by the King of Gods, King of Hell, King of Evil Gods, and the strongest god, God Maha. This tablet had the power to seize the fortune of heaven and earth and operate the supreme mysteries of the universe. In terms of true strength, God Maha should be comparable to any of the three heavenly venerables. He far surpassed Chang Wei-yang and Wen Hong's Tai Xuandu. According to the ranks, the cultivation of a deity was below that of a sage. But a deity was not a true god. They didn't have a title or a deity position. A deity who obtained a deity position would not only greatly increase their strength, but their lifespan would also increase tenfold. Chapter 471. God Maha had been sealed by the heavenly talisman emperor, but he was not dead. He would definitely cause trouble. For example, he would create many chess pieces in the demon domain in preparation for him to break the seal. Facing such a difficult enemy, Gu Chensha also felt that there was no hope. But it was in despair that he could explode with a powerful battle intent and break through to a certain realm. The demon disaster is about to break out. Courage alone is not enough. We need to have meticulous countermeasures and great strength. But I believe that Brother Taxian will definitely have a way. He left behind many tricks. He will not watch the good situation of the divine prefecture that he had painstakingly created be destroyed. Wen Hong was very confident in the heavenly talisman emperor. We can't rely on Father for everything. It seems that the three of you will not take action when the demon disaster breaks out? Gu Chensha also knew that whether it was Chang Wei-yang, Tai Xuandu or Wen Hong, they all had their own things to do. The people of the world were not very important to them. After the demon disaster broke out, spirituality would be suppressed to the extreme and would counterattack. The human race would not go extinct and would continue to thrive in the future. This was already looking at the human race from the height of a god. Moreover, The major mystical sects had also raised ordinary people and built countries in the plains at the foot of their sections. As for the people of the divine central continent, they could not be bothered with them. Only Gu Chernsha could not bear to see the people lose their homes, break up their families, and suffer. Moreover, whether it was Tai Xuandu or Chang Weiyang, they had to guard against the three heavenly masters, while Wen Hong had to guard against the great spirit god's plots. Each had their own enemies and opponents. Gu Chernsha could understand them. In short, when the demon disaster broke out, whether it was the Tai mystical sect, the Cosmos mystical sect, or Wen Hong, none of them could be counted on. They could only fight on their own. I have benefited a lot this time. I will go back now and obtain the secrets of the Dharma saint as soon as possible. As Gu Chernsha cupped his hands, his body flashed, and he had already left the Cosmos mystical sect. He was much faster than before. If this kid can survive the devil calamity, then he'll be truly invincible, Chang Weiyang said. I hope he can survive. My father still needs him to resurrect. I wonder if he can obtain the secrets of the Dharma saint? Wen Hong said, I don't know how the Dharma saint's current cultivation is. Has he broken through the 36 transformations and achieved a cultivation that is beyond the 3 realms and not within the 5 elements? If he's able to resist the summons of the heavenly Tao, he might really be able to stand side by side with the 3 great heavenly venerables. Let's see if Gu Chernsha can figure it out. Let's not talk about anything else. He's very useful in charging and breaking through enemy lines. Tai Xian said, At least we obtained the dragon-raising heart sutra and many secrets of the 3 sky venerables. We can study them and accumulate strength. There will be many tribulations in the future, and if we aren't careful, we might even die. We have to use the dragon-raising heart sutra carefully and slowly. We can't spread it in the sect. We even have to lay down a curse. If we spread it, we must immediately forget about this sutra. Chang Weiyang said, This is a national weapon. I estimate that if this sutra is used with the resources of our sect, we can probably produce 1,000 geniuses within 3 years. 1,000 geniuses is too terrifying. In 30 or 300 years, our sect's combined strength can definitely crush the Black Heaven Earth sect. Tai Xian's tone was a little excited. If we get the dragon-making heart sutra, don't celebrate too early. Wen Hong said, The dragon-raising heart sutra and the dragon-making heart sutra were both obtained from Battle 19. We don't know how many years the 3 sky venerables have mastered these 2 secret sutras and how many geniuses they have cultivated. Perhaps on another continent far away from the divine central continent, the 3 sky venerables have built an even larger empire. We can't rule out this possibility. Chang Weiyang said, The land of infinity is boundless. We can't even calculate its borders. No one knows which corner of the world has a huge empire. Since ancient times, even the saints have not been able to completely explore the land of infinity. We don't know how such a huge continent can exist in the universe. Tai Xian said, But there is no doubt that the divine central continent is the center of the land of infinity. There is another rumor. The land of infinity is actually expanding all the time. It is born automatically. I don't know if it is true or not. Wen Hong frowned. It is said that the land of infinity is actually a living thing. We are all inside this living thing, and the divine central continent is where the consciousness of the land of infinity is. If the land of infinity is a living thing, it is too terrifying. Tai Xian recalled. But I have heard of this rumor. A long time ago, there was a rumor that the land of infinity was a living thing. It kept swallowing chaos, the void, and the stars to expand itself. A long time ago, the land of infinity had a border. But now it is getting more and more boundless. The primordial tree, the heaven sacrifice talisman, the primordial dragon sect, the land of infinity. These are all things that we cannot understand. I wonder if the 3 heavenly venerables can understand them. According to the memories that Gu Chunsha obtained from Do 19, the three heavenly venerables are plucking some treasures from the primordial tree. Chang Wei-yang calculated with her fingers. It seems like we have to calculate the location of the primordial tree and see what the three heavenly venerables are doing. At this time, Gu Chunsha left the universe mystic door and flew all the way to his fief. He entered the common people's wish sphere again. Zhuge Ye was still circulating his magic power. He used the Tai Pearl to break down the chaos energy and infused it into the heavenly demon tree to speed up its growth. The azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise were also hiding in the tree. They communicated and cultivated with each other. With the help of the heavenly demon tree, their cultivation speed was extremely fast. As their cultivation level increased, the connate four symbols chi that they breathed in and out could also regulate the heavenly demon tree's meridians. They complemented each other. In the heavenly demon tree that was refined by many sages of the ancient demon race, even a matured tree couldn't gather all four of the sacred beasts. From the looks of it now, the celestial tranquility department was indeed blessed by the heavens. Any cultivator who cultivated under the heavenly demon tree would be nourished by the essence energy of the tree. It was better than consuming any elixir. It was better to lean against the tree and enjoy the shade. Above the sphere, a ball of oath power was burning like a fireball. The oaths made by all living beings were getting stronger and stronger. This meant that the common people's wish academy that the Celestial Tranquility Department had created was getting wider and wider. Its ideals had already converged into a trend of thought. When Gu Chunsha entered the sphere, he transmitted a memory to Zhuge Ye without saying anything. It was a memory left behind by Chang Yuzhou. These memories were the complete comprehension of the final fusion of the Tao from a mortal to a sage. There was the helplessness when he was weak, the hardships of cultivation, the gains and losses of battles with others, the joy and struggle of overcoming many difficulties step by step, the hesitation when he encountered bottlenecks, the despair after facing certain death, and the joy of escaping from a hopeless situation. Finally, there was the effort of trying to survive in this world and resist the call of the heavenly Tao. But in the end, it was all in vain. All of this, bit by bit, formed the life of this strange person, Chang Yuzhou. Chang Yuzhou transmitted all of his life's energy to Gu Chunsha in an instant, planting a seed of hope in himself. He hoped that one day, Gu Chunsha would be able to avoid the detours he had taken, surpass him, and finally save him from the Tao integration. Zhuge Ye took a full hour before he completely accepted Chang Yuxing's life. He pondered for a long time, and his eyes suddenly burst with light. The mana all over his body changed endlessly, and he once again turned into a wheel of light. This time, what appeared in the light was not what happened in the past, but what happened in the future. I can't believe I broke through to the 24th transformation just like that. Peering into the future? As expected of the Lord of Seven Stars. Gu Chunsha was overjoyed. Every time Zhuge Ye's cultivation level increased, not only would his intelligence increase, but his magic power would undergo a heaven-toppling, earth-toppling transformation. Most importantly, he could gain enlightenment of the world-burying coffin in the depths of the chaotic flows of space and time. He could learn even more of Jiang Gongwang's secret. In the future, he would be even more confident in obtaining the world-burying coffin. Chang Yuzhou's life is extremely valuable. His entire life, from birth to becoming a saint and Tao integration, is recorded in it, no matter how big or small. Everything is recorded in it. Digesting his memories is like going through a cycle of reincarnation. I gained a great understanding of my life. You can say that no saint would show you everything they have experienced. In particular, the struggle during the Tao integration, the struggle against the heavens, is a unique experience. Zhuge Ye sighed. In the end, Chang Yuzhou's cultivation was about the same as Jiang Gongwang's, but he still couldn't escape the call of the heavenly Tao. My cultivation of the heavenly Tao seems to be able to pull him out of the heavenly Tao integration. Gu Qinsha said, Mr. Zhuge, now that you've broken through to the 24th transformation, peering into the future, your magic power has improved. You can clearly see many directions in the future. What do you think we should do? Your Highness, you've been cultivating in the Cosmos Mystic Gate for a month. About 20 days ago, people from the School of Legalism came to our Calming Immortal department. They wanted to obtain the Dragon Nurturing Cultivation Technique and Dragon Creation Cultivation Technique. Their condition was to send some legalist disciples to join our Calming Immortal department. We will provide them with medicinal pills, armor, weapons, and magic treasures. Only then will they be able to help us resist the demons. Zhuge Ye laughed coldly. It seems the School of Legalism is extremely arrogant. I knew the School of Legalism would do this. Gu Qinsha's expression was calm. The School of Legalism is essentially no different from the ape race. Of course, the reason they're so arrogant is because the Dharma Saint is still alive. It doesn't matter if he's alive or not. Zhuge Ye suddenly pointed. Under the control of his magic power, a huge clump of the Oath of the Common People's Wish suddenly fell into the heavenly demon tree. Your Highness, use your heavenly Tao art to help me. Transform the heavenly demon tree into a tree of wishes. Tree of wishes. Gu Qinsha was puzzled. Chapter 472. Zhuge Ye pointed. A huge amount of memories and treasures cultivation methods rolled in. A tree structure that was similar to the heavenly demon tree but completely different appeared in his sea of consciousness. Gu Qinsha's body had completely transformed into dermic powers. His sea of consciousness was just a mass of yuan qi hidden within the dermic powers. Furthermore, every trace of dermic powers in his body could store memories and operate thoughts. In the past, too many memories could even burst his sea of consciousness, but now, no matter how many memories there were, he could contain them all. When the sage's memory entered his magic power, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, unable to cause any ripples. It really is the tree of wishes. Gu Qinsha observed the condensation method in his memory and comprehended the nature of the heavenly demon tree. He understood the stories and efforts of the ancient emperors and Jiang Gongwang. The heavenly demon tree and the tree of wishes actually had the same core principles, but the key areas were very different. The essence of the heavenly demon tree was the primordial demon Tao. It was a naked plunder, the survival of the fittest. When the heavenly demon tree had just been born, it was still a seedling. The moment it was born, it had stolen all the vitality from the life's wish sphere. On the other hand, the tree of wishes was upright, containing good wishes. It was a tree of the human race. Zhuge Ye had obtained all of Chang Yuzhou's memories, allowing him to comprehend the 24 transformations and peer into the future. From there, he had obtained even more secrets from the world-burying coffin. This secret was the method to condense the tree of wishes. Transforming from the heavenly demon tree to the wishing tree is actually the same as turning into a demon. We just happened to obtain the connate numinous treasure, the myriad demon-human transformation diagram. This diagram has already been integrated into the heavenly demon tree and is beginning to transform. As the foundation, we will inject the common people's oath into it and use spiritual power to reverse the structure. From now on, the heavenly demon tree will become a thing of the past, an even stronger wishing tree, Zhuge Ye said. That's right. In ancient times, the heavenly sons of heaven and the Lord of Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang, discovered the wish tree after researching the heavenly demon tree and the grand mist tree. Gu Qinsha said, the wish tree has the mysteries of the heavenly demon tree. The mysteries that the heavenly demon tree doesn't have, the wish tree also has them. At this moment, he was experienced and knowledgeable. He was proficient in endless ancient secrets. He was completely familiar with any cultivation technique and magical treasures with just a glance. He could understand the secrets within them and transform them on his own. Rumble. His entire body turned into a mass of primal chaos that was directly injected into the heavenly demon tree. He used his own spiritual power to change the heavenly demon tree, turning it into a tree of wishes. The quality of the Heaven's Path art was most suitable for forging magic treasures. After changing the material, it would never regress. Right now, Gu Chencha's spiritual power was incomparably vigorous, almost limitless. He was also proficient in the Great God Massacre art and the Son of Heaven's God Bestowal art. Combining them with a single thought, he could open up an endless number of dimensions. The energy of each dimension would pour down like a waterfall, and then rearrange and mix, giving birth to endless wonders. Of God of Hevoth of ancient times to of the Hevoth the ancient times. Of Gu Jiang probably also the Wang of the Hevoth the of Tao. Of the ancient times Qi had been. Of Wang of Yi. Using the heavenly Tao art's quality to change the structure of the heavenly demon tree and use it as a foundation to transform it into a wish tree was far more convenient than any of the ideas of the ancient emperors. Gu Chensha injected himself into the heavenly demon tree and spread its branches and leaves. Immediately, the tyrannical aura of the primeval demon Tao receded like a receding tide. In its place was a peaceful, vast, warm, and cool aura. The wish of all life merged into the wish tree and used its power to slowly transform the heavenly demon tree into a wish tree, closer to the primordial tree. The quality of the heavenly Tao art is indeed amazing. Any magical treasure that is nourished by this art will be completely reborn. Even if it's the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, or black tortoise, it can grow rapidly. Zhuge sighed in admiration. If not for the heavenly Tao art appearing in the world, the heavenly demon tree would never have been able to transform into a wish tree. For an ordinary metal weapon to be transformed into an artifact, ordinary cultivators would place it in a spirit-gathering formation and slowly nurture it for hundreds or even thousands of years. Slowly, it would gain spirituality and wonder. Brilliant cultivators would soak it in spirit liquid. An even faster method of evolution was to use heavenly dew. However, heavenly dew was not as good as Gu Chencha's Sun-Moon Dragon blood. The Sun-Moon Dragon blood was not as good as the Sun-Moon Dragon energy, which was not as good as the Sun-Moon Dragon primordial spirit. It was not as good as the Sun-Moon Dragon elixir or the Sun-Moon Dragon art. All of these could not be compared to the heavenly Tao art. Time flew by again. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Under Gu Chencha's care, the heavenly demon tree shrunk again. Its power condensed and covered a radius of dozens of miles. Finally, it became a small sapling that was only about a foot tall. The azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise floated in the air and revolved around the sapling. The sapling emitted a gentle glow. Billions of halos floated around the sapling. It was as if it was in a different space. Within the sphere of the wish of all life, colorful clouds floated everywhere. Then, all of them were absorbed by the sapling. Then, it brewed and spat out. Chi-La. Waves of fusion elemental energy fell like a waterfall and were all absorbed by the newly born wish tree. It did not even need the Tai pearl to filter it. It could be completely digested. The absorption ability of the wish tree far exceeded that of the heavenly demon tree. If not for absorbing the myriad demon-human transformation painting, the heavenly demon tree would not have been able to transform into a wish tree. During the refinement process, Gu Chensha had completely understood the secret. After his magic power came out of the cosmic lightning pool, it was even more exquisite. It was like the spring breeze and rain, silently transforming the treasure in nature. The ultimate goal of the demon race was to become a human being. The evolution of the heavenly demon tree into a wish tree was the process of demons becoming humans. If not for the myriad demon-human transformation painting, which was a connate numinous treasure, Gu Chunxia would have needed decades to transform the heavenly demon tree into a wish tree. The myriad demon-human transformation painting was a connate numinous treasure obtained by the 4 great apes of the ape race. The 4 great apes had gathered all the power of the ape race and refined the painting for thousands of years. It had accumulated a huge amount of demonic energy and world energy. Although it had been integrated into the heavenly demon tree, it had not been digested. In the past 6 months, Gu Chunxia had used the heavenly Tao technique to completely refine the huge amount of demonic energy accumulated in the myriad demon-human transformation painting. It was like the scorching sun shining on an iceberg, melting it. Once it was melted, the power of the tree would be released and transformed. Finally, it broke through the threshold and was refined into a wish tree. After the wish tree is formed, the days of our tranquil fairy department will be much better. Zhuge Ye suddenly pointed and activated the sapling. A ring immediately formed on the sapling. Gu Chunxia made a grabbing motion and the ring appeared on his hand. He sent his dermic powers into it and found that the space inside the ring was extremely stable. It was 10 feet in length, width, and height. It was 3 times larger than the space inside the ring that had been formed by the heavenly demon tree. That was not all. The speed at which the sapling condensed the interspatial ring had greatly increased. Back then, in order to activate the heavenly demon tree to condense the interspatial ring, Zhuge Ye had spent a full day and night. If he wanted to condense a second ring, he had to rest for 7 days. Now, with a casual movement, he had completely created a ring with a larger space in a few breaths. It seemed like this ring could be mass-produced. Gu Chunxia knew that there were 2 reasons for this. One was that the heavenly demon tree had turned into a wish tree and its ability had increased greatly. The second was that Zhuge Ye's realm had increased by 2. At the start, he was at the 22nd transformation of heaven and earth. Now, he had broken through and actually reached the 24th transformation of Future Peak. The 23rd transformation of Capital Realm Peak into the past and the 24th transformation of Future Peak were the 2 most crucial gates. Once one comprehended them, there would be supreme uses and one would be able to allow one's dermic powers to seep into the essence of time. For example, if the spiritual power of the Tao Realm 22 transformation phenomenon of heaven and earth was a thread, then the spiritual power of the 23 transformation reflecting the past was a steel wire. The 24th transformation of Future Peak was a diamond thread. The toughness and mysteriousness of the dermic powers couldn't be compared to the past. Gu Chunxia had now obtained the lifetime effort of a saint like Chang Yuzhou, but he was still stuck at the 22 transformations and was unable to improve. Even though he had comprehended many things during the half a year he had spent condensing this tree of wishes, it was still of no use. During this half a year, we have been cultivating in the common people's wish ball and allowed the heavenly demon tree to evolve into a wish tree. During this period of time, we haven't produced anything. For example, human dragon pellets, human dragon armor, and human dragon sword have all stopped production. I am afraid that many problems have arisen outside. Gu Chunxia said, "Luckily, we had some in stock, so we wouldn't be in trouble. It is okay, we can increase production now. We can also sell the space rings to the Celestial Path sect. That is a huge profit." Zhuge Ye looked at the sky of the common people's wish ball. If not for the demon calamity, then our calming celestial sector's era would have arrived. Gu Chunxia knew that creating human dragon pellets, human dragon swords, and human dragon armors wasn't much. Only those who could mass-produce space rings were the true giant. Even in the Celestial Path sect, space rings were really rare. Even geniuses at the 18 transformations of Tao realm might not have one. Even the Grand Elder at the Dermic Power Realm didn't have one. This was because only God-grade experts could create space rings. Even experts at the 29th transformation who comprehended chaos couldn't create a stable space. If these space rings entered the Celestial Path sect, numerous cultivators would fight to the death to snatch them. They were willing to pay any price. Chapter 473. There was no telling how long he cultivated. Gu Chunxia only needed to circulate his energy, and before he knew it, a month had passed. 3 months. Half a year. If he continued like this, he wouldn't be able to sense the vicissitudes of the human world, nor would he be able to sense how much time had affected the mortal world. In short, long periods of secluded cultivation could temper his magic power and make it purer, but it had little to no effect on his cultivation. Now that the wish tree was complete, the development of the life's wish sphere came to a temporary halt. He needed to go out and finish his unfinished business. His top priority was to obtain the secrets of the Dharma saint from the legalist. It would be best if he could learn from Chang Yuzhou and obtain all of the Dharma saint's memories. That way, his future path of cultivation would be smooth sailing. Chang Yuzhou's memories were of enormous benefit to Gu Chunxia, but they couldn't compare to the Dharma saints. The Dharma saint's comprehension of magic power and his research of the heavenly Tao were things that Gu Chunxia absolutely needed to obtain. The legalists actually put forth such harsh conditions. They clearly don't care about the calmness immortal department at all, and they even want to kill me. If we don't weaken the legalists, then when the devil calamity comes, the legalists will be the first to attack us. Gu Chunxia knew that because of the dragon-raising Heart Sutra, the dragon-making Heart Sutra, the Heaven Demon Tree, the Life's Wish Sphere, and even the Lord of 7 Stars, the calmness immortal department was a juicy piece of meat to the legalists. He gave Zhuge Ye a few instructions, then headed back to the Dharma province. I haven't been out for half a year. I've been focusing on turning the Heaven Demon Tree into the Wish Tree. It seems the world has changed yet again. This time, Gu Chunxia was carefully observing the world. In the sky, he transformed into a gentle breeze, a white cloud, and the light of the sun and moon. In the blink of an eye, the entire divine continent was enveloped by his gaze. The destiny of the entire divine continent was growing stronger and stronger. It was no longer the crimson red it had been at the beginning, nor was it the golden kingdom that had settled down. Instead, it had reached a deep purple, the color of immortal qi. Purple qi was the most supreme of all. This was the result of Yanko's development reaching its pinnacle, the awakening of the people, and the explosive growth of the population. It had been almost a year since Gu Chunxia established the Common People's Wish Institute to encourage fertility and spread the dragon-nurturing mantra. In the past year, he had not participated in the specific operations, but Liu Baiwei and the Fourth had followed his footstep. Under the lead of the Celestial Tranquility Department, a birth frenzy once again arose in the world. Land began to be scarce everywhere, and land prices skyrocketed, leading to a climax of large-scale construction. Every household became wealthy, and with money on hand, they began to build houses and gardens. There were even some rich families who desperately bought land and hired experts to set up formations. Even some of the local tyrants in the countryside began to know about spirit-gathering formations and had people set them up. A large number of experts appeared among the people. It was already the 25th year of the Heavenly Talisman. It had been 11 years since Gu Chunxia made his debut. People at Tao Realm Transformation 15 Heaven Eye hanging space would turn their soul into a Heaven Eye and hang in the air. They would be able to see everything within 1,000 miles, and they would even be able to see the minerals and treasures underground. As for Gu Chunxia, his cultivation base was no longer something that low-level cultivators could match up against. With just a thought, he could silently observe the entire China continent, the ocean, the desert, east wasteland, and many other areas. Many of the aristocratic families in the central continent were deeply engraved in his mind. Normally speaking, even if a deity were to release their divine will to spy on the entire central divine prefecture, many of the hidden old-timers would be displeased. However, Gu Chencha's spying wasn't something that could be detected. He had become one with the sunlight, and there was no way to tell what was going on. He was the sun in the sky, and the sun in the sky was him. He used the quality of the heaven path technique to control the sun and moon shine together, which far exceeded the strength that Gu Tianzi could display. After half a year of secluded meditation, he came to find trouble with the legalists and also to observe the situation in the world. He wanted to see if there were any loopholes in the imperial court. Honglong. His consciousness spread out limitlessly. Many scenes of the China continent appeared in his mind, and he could see them clearly. Gu Chencha's spiritual sense could now do 8 million things at once, even exceeding Zhuge Ye's. With just his own combat strength, even Zhuge Ye was not his match. The 99 states of the central continent were developing rapidly, but the aristocratic families were developing even faster. Gu Chensha saw that the sage clans and the descendants of the gods, the legalists, the Wu, the Fan, the Hung, the Lei, the Wan, the Hong, and the Yun clans, were expanding even faster than the country as a whole. They were rapidly plundering the country's providence, but they didn't give it back to the common people. Sores, tumors, pustules. Such a feeling appeared in the depths of Gu Chencha's heart and became stronger and stronger. The overbearing aristocratic families were all tumors on the country. They absorbed nutrients but didn't give it back to strengthen themselves. Instead, they controlled the country and affected the health of the imperial court. No matter how much the imperial court expanded, most of the country's luck was absorbed by these aristocratic families. If this continued, the country would collapse very quickly. It was just like how in the past dynasties, when land was acquired, the large families would desperately buy land, causing the small families to gradually be unable to survive. In the end, as long as there was a small spark, it would immediately explode, and the world would be in revolution. And these aristocratic families had never been removed from power since ancient times. No matter how the dynasties rose or fell, they would always stand tall, and the ones who took the blame for them were the imperial court of the past. If I don't get rid of these aristocratic families, the world can't be truly peaceful. Gu Chensha observed for a long time and sighed in his heart. Logically speaking, the heavenly talisman emperor could completely destroy these aristocratic families and establish an unshakable foundation. However, he didn't do that. He only sealed the gods and expanded outwards, destroying the barbarians and demons, and then suppressing the heavenly Tao. In his opinion, perhaps the matters of the aristocratic families should be left to Gu Chensha, Lu Baiwei, and the others. This was training and also nurturing. There was nothing that he couldn't do. Thankfully, Baiwei has already contacted the various governors and reached an agreement with them to support them and restrain the aristocratic families. However, this is just doing things among the common people. If we really want to destroy and divide the aristocratic families, we have to do it from the higher up. As long as we seal all the deity experts of those aristocratic families and take away their foundation, they will collapse. But where do we have the strength to do that? Gu Chensha had already appeared in the Dharma province. It was still the Dharma province city. The Common People's Wish Academy of the Celestial Calmness Department was actually built here. This was all the result of their cooperation with Wen Hanlong. Although the legalists had absolute control over the Dharma province, the world was still under the imperial court's control. The devil calamity hadn't broken out yet, so the legalists couldn't go overboard. A huge railway was built outside the Dharma province city, connecting the surroundings. Iron carriages that resembled centipedes emitted flames as they sped forward at a speed of several thousand li per day, transporting goods from the Dharma province to the rest of the country, and then transporting the specialties of the various provinces here. Huge floating boats floated in the sky, transporting goods back and forth at an even faster speed. This was the most eye-catching thing about the Celestial Calmness Department. Since ancient times, the various aristocratic families and even the Celestial Path mysterious sects could craft such flying boat. However, there were very few of them and they weren't practical. People from the Celestial Path mysterious sects could fly on their own, so it was a waste of materials to craft such ships that didn't have high defense and attack abilities. Moreover, although the flying speed of the ships was really fast, compared to true cultivators, it was much slower. The speed of the ships couldn't compare to the speed of a Tao Realm 9 transformation Jade Body cultivator flying at full speed. It could only carry many people. It was flashy but not practical. This was what many cultivators thought of the ship. Gu Chunsha didn't care. His goal was to create such a huge ship to cause a sensation among the commoners. When the commoners saw such strength, there was no reason for them to believe in him. Along with the Dharma Province Governor Wen Hanlong, Gu Chunsha wanted to slowly spread the Celestial Calmness Department's power into Dharma Province. After observing for a while in Dharma Province City, he silently headed towards the plains that the legalists occupied. He saw the familiar plains and the main gate of the legalists, the Gate of Order. This time, he didn't head over to pay them a visit. Instead, he turned into Do 19 and activated the talismans that Wen Hong, Tai Xuandu, and Chang Weiyang had crafted. Along with his own Heaven Path technique, he was actually exactly the same as Do 19, turning into Do 19's undying body. Then, he activated his body and snuck into the legalist's palace. It was the same for Do 19's style. He was too lazy to do any visiting etiquette. If he wanted to head to Celestial Path mysterious sects, he would directly sneak in and then find the higher-ups to talk to them. If the higher-ups didn't notice him, he didn't mind stealing some things. The Celestial Path mysterious sects couldn't do anything to him. They didn't dare to fight him and they didn't dare to kill him. This was the reason why Do 19's reputation was so bad. Gu Chunsha used the same trick again. It would be best if he could find some of the legalists' flaws and obtain their treasures to strengthen the life's wish sphere. Then, he would shift the blame to Do 19. Gu Chunsha and Zhuge Ya also had a clear grasp of Do 19's whereabouts. After all, this person had left his natal brand on the Heavenly Demon Tree. Now that the Heavenly Demon Tree had evolved into the Tree of Wishes, it was even easier to grasp his every move. Do 19 was currently cultivating in seclusion somewhere, attempting to dispel the brand he had left behind and sever his relationship with the Celestial Calmness Department. This was something that would happen sooner or later. With the three Heavenly Venerables' resources, it was impossible for them to control Do 19. Now that the three Heavenly Venerables were doing something important, Gu Chunsha seized the opportunity to shift the blame to Do 19. The last time he entered the legalists, Gu Chunsha had secretly observed the layout of the legalists when he accepted the banquet hosted by the 6 elders. He discovered that there were layers of restrictive spells that prevented outsiders from entering. It would be extremely dangerous for him to barge in himself. But that was almost 10 months ago. Chapter 474. The Legalism Palace complex was enveloped by a formation. It was like a huge invisible screen that covered thousands of kilometers of land. Ordinary people couldn't even get close to the dozens of kilometers around the palace complex. Only legalism disciples who wore talismans could enter and exit this barrier freely. Gu Chunsha, on the other hand, did not care. He had just come into contact with the barrier, and he was already familiar with its secrets. He gently transformed and became a part of the barrier. Naturally, he was able to hide inside without anyone knowing. The legalists' palaces had many floors, and there were countless barriers. The outer disciples couldn't enter the deeper layers. The rules were strict and meticulous. Legalism disciples were divided into many levels. The lowest level was the miscellaneous chores disciples. They were servants who served tea, did manual labor, planted crops, and reclaimed land. They had to bow and scrape. Those with slightly higher levels were secular disciples, traveling merchants, transporting goods, dealing with other trading companies, and so on. These two types of disciples were the largest bottom level. They lived in the periphery of the legalism palace complex. They lived in towns. The houses weren't palaces, but were all single-story houses. Then there were the inner disciples. Once one became an inner disciple of the legalism, their treatment improved. They could be given pills, cultivation techniques, and all sorts of conveniences. Also, the inner disciples basically didn't have to do any work. Their role was to cultivate every day and take tests. However, they were very strict. There would be a big test every month. If they couldn't pass, they would be kicked out and become secular disciples. Not only would they lose face, they would also have to work every day. They wouldn't have time to cultivate, and they would basically never be able to make a name for themselves. Above the inner disciples were the inner disciples, and their treatment was even better. After that, there would be another selection in the inner disciples for elite disciples. After that, there would be another selection in the elite disciples for enforcers. This was similar to the adjudicators under the three heavenly venerables. The enforcers monitored all the disciples and had an extremely high status. They were already the peak of the disciples. If one had enough experience, they would become a legalism elder. Gu Chensha entered the legalism palace and hid his body. He walked around leisurely and observed the structure of the legalism palace. He found that there was a strict order and the hierarchy was clear. No one could take half a step forward. It was this order that made the legalism so powerful. Odd job disciples, secular disciples, inner disciples, elite disciples, and enforcers. There were 6 major levels, followed by the elders, great elders, patriarchs, supreme elders, and ancestors. Old ancestors were usually God realm experts. As for grand elders, they were at the Tao realm 27 transformations, 2 worlds seamless and 29 transformations comprehending chaos. They needed to cultivate and step into the God realm. I wonder what the school of legalism's omniscient law realm is like. It's bigger than our life's wish sphere, and it produces countless rare spiritual herbs, minerals, resources, and treasures. The real good stuff is in that world of Dharma. If I can infiltrate it, I'll be able to pry into the true secrets of legalism. Gu Chensha strolled around for most of the day and saw the miscellaneous chores disciples at the lowest level of the school of legalism working hard to wash clothes, sweep the floor, serve tea, plant medicinal fields, raise livestock, and so on. They were busy and the work was extremely heavy. Actually, with the school of legalism's divine powers, these tasks could be done by puppets. However, the school of legalism did not seem to have any puppets that worked. The members of the school of legalism's upper echelon felt that the odd jobs should be left to the disciples. Firstly, they could comprehend the principles through the odd job. Secondly, if the large number of low-end disciples did not have any work to do, they would loaf around, and it would be extremely disadvantageous to the clan's stability. Only by keeping the disciples at the lowest level busy all day, not giving them time to think or take a breather, would the clan be at peace. Actually, many rulers had the same thoughts. They could not let the commoners have it too easy. They had to be constantly working so that there would be a hint of hope. However, they could not be allowed to starve to death either. Only then would the country be stable. However, Gu Chensha did not think this way. He was no longer looking at the problem from the perspective of the emperor. Instead, he was looking at it from the perspective of the survival of all of humanity. He had to do his best to strengthen humanity, increase their intelligence and strength, so that they could fend off the upcoming calamity. The legalism's structure and philosophy of governance were indeed a kind of truth that had existed for several thousand years. They contained some kind of rule and had created the legalism's glory for several thousand years. However, by the looks of it now, these were a little outdated. Gu Chernsha went deeper and observed the disciples' cultivation. He also got a good look at the legalism's basic cultivation techniques and training method. Fiendish aura? As he slowly observed, Gu Chernsha suddenly sensed a hint of fiendish aura. It was very pure and intense. Although the owner of the fiendish aura tried his best to hide it, how could he hide it from him? Why would there be fiends in the legalism? Gu Chernsha immediately transformed and lurked towards the spot where the fiendish aura appeared. Every level of the legalism palace had a unique restrictive spell. One could only enter by wearing the corresponding talisman amulet. The deeper one went, the stronger the restrictive spell. If a disciple trespassed and triggered the restrictive spell, only death awaited them. This had been the rule for thousands of years, resulting in no one daring to trespass the forbidden zone. Gu Chernsha ignored the restrictive spell. He casually transformed and seeped in. His body's transformation had already surpassed the river of myriad things and reached a whole new level. The legalism's massive palace complex basically had no secrets to him. Only the Dharma world was difficult to find. In just a short while, he found a garden deep in the palace complex. The spiritual energy in the garden was really strong, and there was also celestial energy mixed within. When mixed together, it formed a special celestial spiritual energy. The celestial spiritual energy was nurtured by a special formation and actually turned into many beautiful fairies. These fairies danced in the garden and looked really lively. And here, a banquet was being held. Apart from the 6 hall elders who appeared to accompany the guest, there were 12 other elders of the same level. Gu Chernsha knew that the legalism had a total of 18 halls, and each hall's elder was an absolute expert at the 20 changes. Even with how strong the legalism school was, there were very few people who could cultivate spiritual power. They weren't as simple as cabbages. The 18 hall elders were accompanying a guest. This guest was a really handsome young man. The fiendish aura was coming from his body. Dwarf demon race? Gu Chernsha could immediately tell that this handsome young man was an expert of the dwarf demon race. This man had actually reached the 26 changes of Tao realm, 10,000 techniques returned to 1. It seemed like he could break through to the 27 changes of seamless 2 worlds at any time. This image, it seems like. Gu Chernsha was shocked. It's actually the dwarf demon clan's younger generation, the dwarf death abandonment. I even pretended to be this person and killed the dark armor great demon race's dark armor foolishness. There was also a 24 transformation 6-armed snake demon and 25 transformation blood demon. I wanted to stir up internal strife in the demon race, but I didn't succeed. This abandoned dwarf is still here. It seems like he has made some sort of agreement with the legalism school. Abandoned dwarf was a freak. When he was born, there were all sorts of phenomenons. His parents saw numerous black lotuses surging out from the ground and then blood rain falling from the sky. The moment he was born, he was completely different from the other dwarf demons. He was extremely strong and resonated with the demonic nature. His cultivation speed was really fast and he could pretty much learn any technique just by listening to it once. His proficiency was also much better than other demons who cultivated for decades. Abandoned Dwarf's signature move was to turn into a black lotus that would suddenly appear and slash and destroy everything. From a certain perspective, Abandoned Dwarf was the demon race's Fa Wuxian. He was a natural saint. His father was the Dwarf Death Emperor, who had the prison-suppressing black steel, and was a demon saint. Gu Chernsha had turned into this person because of Abandoned Dwarf's arrogance. He killed the experts of the demon race and pushed the blame onto him. However, this was effective. Otherwise, the demon race would have already exploded. The humans had already delayed it for a year. Fa Lufeng laughed heartily. Our cooperation this time is not bad. I didn't expect the pygmy devil race to have so many natural treasures. Our school of legalism can do business with you. It'll be a win-win situation for both sides. As he laughed, he pointed, and an immortal spirit woman flying through the garden was wrapped in magic power and brought to the banquet table on a jade plate. The immortal spirit woman was more than a foot tall and had rainbow-colored wings. When she flapped them, she looked ethereal and beautiful. But the immortal spirit woman was scared out of her wits. She begged, "Exalted immortal, exalted immortal, exalted immortal, please spare me. Don't eat me, don't eat me." Fa Lufeng shouted. Immortal spirits like you are creatures that our school of legalism has gathered immortal energy and spiritual energy for thousands of years in this garden. The meaning of your existence is to please us and entertain our guests. You dare to struggle and beg for mercy? But it doesn't matter. This is your fate. As he spoke, he opened his mouth and inhaled. The foot-tall immortal spirit woman was sucked into his mouth. She screamed, then struggled in pain as she was eaten by Fa Lufeng. How extravagant! Extremely extravagant! Created by ancient dust sand, this was the celestial spirit virgin's feast recorded in ancient records. It was a type of extreme enjoyment, and it was created by gathering great formations for thousands of years, using all sorts of secret methods to condense the celestial spirit virgins and then consume them. Rumor had it that among the great clans of the profound immortal Tao sects, only those who could arrange the immortal spirit fairies' feast could be considered truly powerful. To Gu Chensha, this was a bad habit. It was like ordinary nobles eating a monkey's brain. But there was nothing he could do about it. The profound immortal Tao sects and sage clans weren't perfect. There were many bad habits, and to the nations, these sage clans were like cancerous tumors. How enjoyable! Immortal spirit energy has been brewed by countless formations, gathering the 5 elements of heaven and earth, and the purest essence of human Tao. After thousands of years, these immortal spirit fairies have been brewed. Abandoned, the dwarf looked at Fa Lufeng, who also grabbed one of the fairies and placed her on his jade plate. He slowly opened his mouth and absorbed the fairy's energy. He watched as she begged, and then her body shrank until she was completely absorbed. The fairies first begged, then cursed, then pain and despair disappeared. Chapter 475. The legalists are really cruel. Gu Chensha was furious, but he didn't make a move. At the very least, he couldn't alert the enemy. Seeing this, he no longer felt any pity for the legalists and the other aristocratic families. They had to be destroyed and removed from the country's fate. Perhaps the human Tao's fate would break through once these tumors were gone, ushering in a true golden age. Ha 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 ha! After the dwarf had eaten a fairy maiden, his eyes flashed with cruelty. This time, my father intends to join hands with the school of legalism to create an era where humans and demons coexist. As for the specifics, we'll have to deliberate countless times before we can create an unprecedented era. If our plan succeeds, it'll be an unprecedented achievement. That's right. First Elder Lu Pu of the Punishment Hall nodded. Since ancient times, humans and demons have always been at odds with one another. Every time spirituality and demonic nature erupts, there will be endless conflicts and rivers of blood. This time, our school of legalism will work with you dwarves to take charge of this matter. We'll definitely be successful, but there will be a lot of resistance. I'm afraid there will be quite a few demons who oppose this. It's the same for you humans. According to our plan, we'll have a large number of human women mate with a large number of demon males, giving birth to a human-demon fusion. We'll perfectly fuse spirituality and demonic nature together, and finally achieve spirituality and demonic unity. However, I feel that the humans will oppose this even more. If the legalists want to give so many human women to us, there'll probably be a strong backlash. The dwarf abandonment had a teasing look on his face. It's fine. The legalists can still do this, but there will be obstacles. We'll need to borrow the strength of the demons to kill some of them. How about it? Lu Feng didn't care at all. There are countless commoners in the world right now. It's fine to use some of them for experiments. For the great cause of spirituality and demonic fusion, someone has to be sacrificed. Someone has to die. That's good. I've done my research. Actually, the legalists' current threat is the calming immortal department and those who haven't achieved anything yet. The dwarf abandonment said, "We want to destroy the calming immortal department. It's about time. Then we'll wait for the good news. I heard that not long ago, young Master Si Chi went on a killing spree and killed many of the demon race's upper echelons, causing internal strife. I wonder if it has been resolved? It's a bit troublesome, but I didn't kill them. Instead, someone impersonated me and wanted to stir up internal strife in our demon race. How could we fall for it? The matter has been completely resolved. Although there are some races who are dissatisfied, it is of no use." Abandoned dwarf exuded an extremely thick killing intent. The aristocratic families still don't know about our spirit and demon fusion plan. Falyujin said, "In this plan, if we can't convince these families, I'm afraid we will be in a passive position. If they don't get any benefits, they will definitely object. It doesn't matter. It's nothing more than benefits. There are all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures in our demon domain. As long as we take out a portion, we can rope them in. After the fusion of spirit and demon, the aristocratic families, as pure-blooded humans, will naturally be aloof and rule over everything. This is indisputable. I don't believe that they won't be tempted by such great benefits." The dwarf death abandonment grabbed another celestial goddess and slowly absorbed it. Listening to this fairy's miserable cries, it was very pleasing to the eyes. Whether it was the taste or the spiritual pleasure, the celestial goddess feast was very enjoyable. "Leave this matter to us, the legalism clan," Falyujin said. "Young noble abandonment, as long as you give us those heavenly materials and ancient ruins, we will naturally contact the aristocratic families and form an alliance. Of course, we, the Pygmy Demon clan, need to rely on the legalism clan for many things." Abandoned dwarf suddenly said, "Right, where is your legalism clan's Fa Wuxian? I wonder how your cultivation is going now?" "I don't know where Fa Wuxian is in seclusion, but his cultivation is still shallow, only at the 23rd transformation. There is still some distance between him and young noble abandonment," Fa Liuxuai said. "Sooner or later, Fa Wuxian will catch up. He is the same as me, a natural-born saint. I look forward to meeting him. If we work together, we will be able to dominate everything." Abandoned dwarf abandonment had high hopes for Fa Wuxian. "I have one more request." "Young noble abandonment, please speak." Fa Lufeng smiled. "I want to meet the Dharma saint and hope to receive his guidance. The Dharma saint's might has shaken many worlds. Even if the Maha God breaks the seal, he may not be able to do anything to the Dharma saint. If he can give me some guidance, my cultivation will definitely increase. Of course, I won't ask for guidance for free. I can leave all the contents of the scripture of hell suppression to the legalism clan. What do you think?" Abandoned dwarf abandonment made a request. The grand elders of the 18 halls of legalism exchanged glances. They were all discussing how this matter would go. The scripture of hell suppression was very widespread, and it wasn't as if the school of legalism didn't have it. However, the complete version was extremely rare. It contained the miraculous effects of dispelling heart demons, heaven demons, human demons, earth demons, spirit demons, een demons, and many other demons. Any cultivator would face the risk of cultivation deviation. However, if they obtained the complete version of the scripture of hell suppression, they would be able to transform into the way and never be invaded by demons. This matter is not something we can decide. After discussing for a while, Fa Lufeng said, I must go back and report to the higher-ups. Everything will be decided by the ancestors. Thank you. Abandoned dwarf abandonment quickly said, I'll wait here. Fa Lufeng nodded, stood up, and walked into the hall. When Gu Chensha saw this, he immediately knew that Fa Lufeng was going to enter all the Dharma realms. This was a great opportunity for him. He quietly followed behind Fa Lufeng and suddenly pounced. His whole body turned into a part of Fa Lufeng. Fa Lufeng had also cultivated Dharma power. Now, his whole body was a Dharma body. When Gu Chensha pounced, his body became the same as his Dharma power, and Fa Lufeng couldn't sense it at all. After going deeper into the hall, Fa Lufeng arrived in front of an ancient bronze door. The bronze door was closed, and it was not an ordinary rectangular door. It was round and arched. From a distance, it looked like a ring. The ring of uniting all law. Gu Chensha immediately recognized it. This ring was the true treasure of the legalists. It was where the Dharma saint's luck was kept. It had been refined by the Dharma saint by fusing many connate spiritual treasures. After thousands of years of accumulation, it had become an existence that could completely rival the black gate of heaven and earth. Even the current life's wish sphere could not compare to this magical ring. This ring gave birth to all Dharma realms and could contain all laws. Rumble. Fa Lufeng executed the incantation and entered the magical ring. The moment he entered the magic ring, Gu Chensha felt as if endless waves were sweeping over him. It was as if they were trying to identify Fa Lufeng. From start to finish, there were billions of tremors and searches. No xenogeniac could possess Fa Lufeng's body. Unfortunately, Gu Chensha had completely become a part of Fa Lufeng. This was the heavenly Tao magic. Even the Dharma saint hadn't cultivated to this level. The true heavenly Tao magic was something that the Dharma saint couldn't comprehend. Of course, this was also because Gu Chensha's heavenly Tao magic was getting more and more exquisite. Before he had obtained all of Chang Yuzhou's memories, Gu Chensha didn't understand the sage Tao. But now, he was like a reincarnation of Chang Yuzhou, and all of the various cultivation methods were vivid in his mind. He also knew the methods of the sage. Therefore, this time, he wasn't discovered by any Dharma realm. Just like that, a vast world appeared in front of them. It was a vast world with a sun, moon, and stars in the sky. Countless continents floated in this world, and countless extinct spiritual herbs grew on these continents. There were also many primordial divine beasts roaming this vast world. This was another untainted land. However, Gu Chensha didn't feel the aura of the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. The legalists didn't have the four symbols sacred beasts either. The other primordial divine beasts couldn't compare to the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, and the North Star divine beast. Among the primordial divine beasts, these 5 divine beasts were definitely ranked first. They represented the connate 5 element. The black sect of heaven and earth had an old azure dragon, which firmly occupied the first position of the celestial sects. Even after experiencing the division of the universe, it could still suppress many celestial sects. Disciple Fa Lufeng greets the ancestor. After entering all the Dharma realms, Fa Lufeng immediately knelt in front of the stars in the sky. Fa Lufeng, did the dwarf abandon death have any conditions that you can't decide? A star in the sky shone brightly and spoke in the voice of all living beings. Ancestor, the dwarf abandoned death wants to see the Dharma saint and learn from him. In exchange, he will give us the complete scripture of Maha suppression. Fa Lufeng knelt down and said, What? At this time, another star flickered. It was another immortal realm cultivator. The dwarf abandoned death ambition. Array wants to learn from the Dharma saint. But only the dwarf dead emperor of the dwarf demon clan has the complete scripture of Maha suppression. He must have passed it on to his son. Ancestors, I'm just passing on the demon's words. I hope that you can communicate with the Dharma saint and make the decision. Fa Lufeng didn't dare to say anything else. The dwarf demon clan's spirit and demon fusion plan is indeed a bold plan. It is also one of the Dharma saint's experiments. If it succeeds, it will probably be able to change the fate of the past. Of course, humans will experience some pain. The third star flickered as another immortal realm cultivator spoke. The exalted Dharma saint is currently manipulating the workings of the heavens to enter the deepest depths of space-time. He's secretly monitoring the future, and we won't be able to communicate with him. Send that kid back first. Once we've communicated with the Dharma saint, we'll have him come. Yes, sir, Fa Lufeng said. Furthermore, those brats from the Celestial Calmness Division have already infiltrated our Dharma prefecture? Don't you have any plans to stop them? Do you really need us old fogies to do anything? The fourth star emanated killing intent, and began to tremble violently. Also, we can sense that the precious sphere in the Celestial Tranquility Division has all 4 holy beasts gathered. What's going on? Did you find out anything? Chapter 476. Patriarch, with the Lord of 7 Stars, Zhuge, in charge of the Celestial Pacification Agency, they've taken every conceivable possibility into account. There's no way for us to pry into their secret. Even the 3 divine apes were tricked by them and suffered heavy losses. The Celestial Pacification Agency even roped in Wenhong, the Profound Cosmos Gate, and the Tai Profound Sect. They're so powerful that it's almost impossible to shake them. Those 3 monkeys are trash. Ever since the demon ape of chaos was sealed, the ape clan has declined. The 5th star, the 5th deity, sent out ripples. This caused Gu Chunsha to feel shocked. Just how many deity experts does the school of legalism have? And now there's a 5th. It seems there's definitely more than 5. With so many deity experts, it's no wonder they're the number 1 aristocratic family. They're much more powerful than the ape clan. More importantly, they have the Dharma saint overseeing them. We can now confirm that the Dharma saint is still alive. Now that they had confirmed that the Dharma saint was still alive, it was time for another round of action. The Celestial Pacification Agency is like a bunch of ants. Even the Lord of 7 Stars is nothing more than a wimpy brat. We can crush them to death at any time. It's just that the Lord Dharma Saint sent a decree telling us not to act rashly, which is why we haven't acted yet. Thankfully, those wimpy brats from the Celestial Pacification Agency don't dare to offend the school of legalism. Last time, they obediently came to worship us, and even used the dragon-raising cultivation technique and dragon-making cultivation technique to tempt us. They're nothing more than petty tricks. They don't know that the Lord Dharma Saint's plan is to combine spirit and demon to create an unprecedented, mighty order. Patriarchs, Fa Lufeng said, kowtowing once more. Disciple will take his leave. You may leave. While keeping an eye on the Celestial Pacification Agency, keep an eye on that Wu Dankong. The heaven-offering talisman has already appeared on that woman. It has chosen her. This is the most important thing in the world. The talisman can't be seized. We can only borrow its power. Have you sent people to make contact with that woman? The Wu clan also has a few old fellows. If we attack that Wu Dankong, we'll be bullying a junior and breaking the agreement between the legalists and the Wu clan. Of course, no matter how you juniors cause a ruckus, those old fellows from the Wu clan won't be able to say anything. A deity class expert spoke again. Ancestor, in fact, the best person to handle this matter is Wuxian. However, Wuxian doesn't listen to the orders of the clan, and is always unreasonable. Because of his natural talent as a saint, the clan can't punish him. Regarding this child, our clan's elder council is really helpless. When Fa Lufeng finally left, he seemed to be complaining about Fa Wuxian. Born saints naturally have special privileges, this is undeniable. A deity realm old ancestor spoke up. Don't worry about Fa Wuxian's matters, let him develop on his own. Sir Dharma Saint will personally nurture him. When Fa Lufeng heard this, he did not dare to say anything else. He slowly retreated. As for Gu Chunsha, he did not leave. Instead, he stayed in this all-Dharma realm. He felt that there was a chance here, and he might be able to find the secret of the Dharma Saint. However, this place was extremely dangerous. Now that 6 deities had appeared, if he were to be discovered, he would basically be dead. He could no longer sense the power of the life's wish sphere. This was the all-Dharma realm, a treasure even more powerful than the life's wish sphere. There were also many deities overseeing it. His current methods could only be concealed. It was like a small insect that had barged into the nest of a group of giant dragons. Before the giant dragons discovered the small insect, it was very safe. However, once the insect was discovered, he would be crushed to pieces with a single breath. However, Gu Chunsha had to stay here. He had discovered the legalists' evil plan, the spirit demon plan. They actually wanted humans and demons to fuse together. They wanted to first send a batch of human women to the demons and give birth to a human demon. This was something he absolutely could not tolerate. From his point of view, the bloodline of humans was the noblest. It was the spirit of all living things. On the other hand, the bloodline of the demons was lowly, low-level, and chaotic. Humans and demons could not fuse at all. There was only one outcome for humans and demons, and that was to destroy all demons. Even humans and barbarians could not fuse, let alone humans and demons. Those demons were bloodthirsty and filthy. If the legalists wanted to send human women over, what kind of torture would those women receive? A life worse than death. Just based on this point, the legalists should die. The Dharma Saint should die. Moreover, they deserved to die 10,000 times over. Gu Chunsha had never wanted to exterminate a clan so much. He hated a clan so much. He knew that existences at the level of the Dharma Saint no longer viewed things from the perspective of ordinary people. Perhaps in the eyes of the Dharma Saint, the fusion of humans and demons was the only way to resolve the countless demon disasters. However, Gu Chunsha would not allow such a thing to happen even if he died. Humans were humans because of their bloodline and spirituality. If they were to be mixed with demon bloodline and demonic nature, would they still be humans? Moreover, the legalists were not prepared to allow their disciples to fuse with demons. This meant that the legalists knew the dangers of fusing with demons. They were unwilling to allow their disciples to be experimented on. For the sake of their own plans, these higher-ups actually don't care about the lives of ordinary people at all. They treat human lives like child's play. This can be seen from the legalists' plans. Project Spirit Demon forcefully fused demons and humans, tarnishing the noble bloodline of humans. The killing intent in Gu Chunsha's heart intensified. In history, there had been barbarians who had attacked the divine central plains. In order to enslave the common people, they had forced them to shave their heads and wear barbarian clothes. However, the common people could not bear the humiliation and had rebelled, finally driving the barbarians out. And now, the legalists were forcing human women to fuse with demons. This humiliation was millions of times more humiliating than shaving their heads and changing their clothes. This was no longer humiliation, but extermination. After Fa Lufeng left, Gu Chunsha remained in the Dharma realm. He transformed into a wisp of cloud and took aim at a golden-winged great ping, transforming and attaching himself to it. In all the Dharma realms, many strong ancient beasts and god beasts provided targets for Gu Chunsha to secretly possess. he was also secretly observing all the Dharma realms to understand their structure and essence energy. Moreover, the golden-winged rock that he possessed also knew how to cultivate. It was already at the 9 transformations of the Tao realm, the glass jade body realm. Its entire body was 100 feet long, like a giant. The feathers on its body were like gold and jade, and with a slight shake of its feathers, the sound of countless blades clashing could be heard. After he possessed the golden-winged Great Pung, he used it as a medium to absorb a bit of the essence energy in the Dharma realm. From the perspective of outsiders, it seemed like the golden-winged Great Pung was cultivating and absorbing. Even the god-level experts here couldn't sense it. Gu Chunsha suddenly realized that he was like a heart demon that hid in the hearts of all living beings. Unknowingly, even the gods couldn't do anything about it. But he was in existence even higher than the heart demon. To a certain extent, the heaven path technique was close to the will of the heavens. Gu Chunsha controlled the golden-winged Great Pung to slowly absorb all the essence energy in the Dharma realm. He absorbed it into his own power to analyze and deduce. From there, he understood the secrets of the Dharma saint. After a long while, Gu Chunsha was filled with emotions. The Dharma saint is really amazing. The essence energy in the Dharma realm has been refined for thousands of years and contains a lot of information. It is really helpful for me to familiarize myself with the quality of the heaven path technique. So, power can be refined in such a way. Everything in the Dharma realm contained the essence created by the Dharma saint. Normal experts wouldn't be able to understand, but Gu Chunsha was able to observe and absorb it. He obtained a lot of information. He greedily absorbed the knowledge and profoundness, understanding the structure of the Dharma realm. He discovered that this world had layers of space like a beehive. It was much more complicated than the life's wish sphere. Of course, what he was looking at now was just a drop in the ocean of the Dharma saint's profoundness. He was waiting for an opportunity. The opportunity would come. Rumble. As he absorbed the vital energy, 13 stars in the sky suddenly began to revolve. Each star gave off a powerful mental wave. Everyone, we are about to succeed in refining the core of all the Dharma realms. However, there is still one last hurdle. We cannot let our guard down or slack off. That's right. There is still a portion of the Dharma saint's power that hasn't been released. If it is completely released, breaking away from the heaven path's restraints, then the might of the Dharma saint's descent will be comparable to any one of the 3 celestial lords. If it wasn't for the last change in the heaven path, the Dharma saint wouldn't have taken the opportunity to break away from some restraints and successfully condense a divine body. Just what kind of existence is this Gu Taxian? He can actually shake the eternal and unchanging laws of the heaven and earth. No matter how powerful an existence he has disappeared for so long. It is clear that something big has happened. The Dharma saint must be aware of this. The stars in the sky rippled and emitted a powerful divine will. Gu Chunsha could sense it very clearly. 13. There are a total of 13 deity-level experts. When Gu Chunsha saw the 13 revolving stars, he knew that they were formed by 13 deity-level experts. These deity-level experts were above the Dharma realm's space and sky. It was unknown what kind of profound realm they were comprehending. The 13 stars aligned, each emitting a beam of light, forming a huge array formation. The array formation revolved violently, as if some kind of passageway had been opened. Gu Chunsha observed the array formation and saw countless heavenly flowers falling down, filling the entire Dharma realm. Many deity beasts were greedily absorbing these heavenly flowers. The golden-winged rock that Gu Chunsha had possessed was also absorbing them. These beasts have gotten lucky. The stars in the sky began to fluctuate. Our spell formation will once again evolve all Dharma realms. During the process of the world's evolution, all living beings within it will be able to obtain great benefit. Those who are extremely lucky might even be blessed by the world's energy. Unfortunately, our Dharma realm doesn't have the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. If we had all four of the divine symbols, it would be far more profound. I never would have guessed that the juniors of the Celestial Calmness Department would have all four of them. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.